Chapter 139. When he woke up, it was already the next day. Lin Muyu's spiritual sense slowly awakened, and the spirit pulse technique automatically extended. Suddenly, countless sounds rushed into his ears. The whistling of the cold wind, the swaying of the leaves, the snorting of the warhorses, and the voices of Chu Huaying, Wei Chou, and the other imperial guards. Some were laughing loudly, some were whispering. Nothing could escape the detection of Lin Muyu's spirit pulse technique. For a moment, he felt like his head was about to explode. It was not easy to distinguish and select the parts he wanted from these sounds. Lin Muyu turned over and got up. He retracted his spiritual sense. Eavesdropping on others was really immoral. He was not willing to do it unless he had no other choice. When he walked out of the room, Wei Chou greeted him with a smile. "Sir, you're awake?" Lin Muyu nodded. Unknowingly, Wei Chou had almost become his bodyguard. He looked up at the height of the sun. It was almost noon, and he started to feel hungry. "Sir, Miss Jean from the Capital Business Company sent someone to invite you early in the morning. She said that you must rush to the Capital Business Company after noon to participate in the afternoon auction." Wei Chou said, "The person who came to invite you hasn't left yet. She said that she must go with you." "Okay, got it." After washing up, Lin Muyu mounted the horse. He carried the Liaoyuan sword in the sword bag on his back and the pear blossom spear wrapped in black cloth in his hand. He was not sure when he would be attacked, so he had to be fully armed at all times. There were two figures in his mind. One was Xing Yifan, and the other was Zhang Baihe. Both of them had the ability to kill him in seconds. Chu Huaying followed closely behind with a few imperial guards. They rode on the horse and ate something before following the people from the Capital Business Company to Lanyan City. In the afternoon, the temperature warmed up a little. After entering Lanyan City, even their moods seemed to have warmed up. Chu Huaijin looked at the crowd around them and walked side by side with Lin Muyu. He smiled and asked, You forged so many weapons. You must have earned a lot this time, right?" Lin Muyu touched her nose. "It's all right. Money is just a worldly possession. I don't value it that much. How do you plan on spending this money?" Chu Huayin asked. Lin Muyu didn't know what to do with it. She pondered for a moment and said, "I haven't thought of what to do with it either. Does Brother Chu have any good suggestions?" Chu Huayin couldn't help but laugh. "I don't know either. Big Brother has never had much money, so he doesn't know how to spend it." All right then. Not long after, they arrived at the Capital Business Company. From afar, they could see many luxurious carriages parked in the open space in front of the Capital Business Company. It was obvious that many high-ranking officials and nobles had come. Many of the carriages' curtains were embroidered with purple flowers in gold. That was an emblem that only officials of at least third rank and above were qualified to wear. This time, Lin Muyu brought the 10 royal guards into the back hall of the Imperial Chamber of Commerce. Jin Xiaotang personally received them and led them through a few corridors before entering a large room. There were a few mercenaries standing guard at the side. However, when these mercenaries saw Lin Muyu, Chu Huaying, and the others' armor and insignia, they were all surprised. It was obvious that this group of royal guards did not need anyone's protection. They had the strength to look down on the Imperial Chamber of Commerce. There was no doubt about this. Whoosh! Jin Xiaoting opened the 3 curtains at the back of the room. Outside was a square that was already crowded with people. She smiled and said, "Here, this is our Capital Business Company's VIP room. From this room, you can overlook everything in the auction house. Brother you can stay here. Xiaotang will accompany you to watch the entire auction." Thank you, Miss Xiaotang. "You're welcome. We're on the same side, aren't we?" Jin Xiaotang covered her mouth and smiled. The cute expression of a young girl was intoxicating. However, Lin Muyu was from a business family, so she naturally knew that this was a means of communication. She didn't mind and nodded politely with a smile. Chu Huayin and the other dragon guards also approached the windowsill and looked down at everything in the auction house. Suddenly, he frowned and said, "Isn't that young Master Ling Feng, the son of the State General Ling Nantian? He actually came to the auction house. This is really strange. I heard that young Master Ling Feng has been cultivating in his mansion for many years and never goes out, Jin Xiaoting giggled. This is enough to prove the value of this batch of weapons. Chu Huayi nodded. You is really not simple. Another dragon guard narrowed his eyes and said, Lord Chu, look, another group of people has arrived. At the entrance of the auction house, a group of armored guardian knights surrounded a person and walked in. The person in the middle was handsome and had an arrogant look in his eyes. It was obvious that he was not from an ordinary family. It's Yuan Lian. Chu Huayin smiled faintly. Yuan Lian? Lin Muyu was stunned. Who is he? He's the son of the third-rank state general Yuan Xie. I heard that he just entered the heaven realm not long ago. That's indeed not simple. The corner of Lin Muyu's mouth curled up. He did not care how strong these people were. He only cared about how much these people liked the weapons he had forged. In his eyes, whether it was Ling Feng or Yuan Lian, they were actually here to give him money. But then again, there were indeed hidden dragons and crouching tigers in the capital. Other than Feng Jixing, Qin Lei, and the others, there was also a heaven realm expert like Yuan Lian. Even Ling Feng's power pulse was at the heaven realm. He was not simple at all. The crowd was bustling and more people came. The auction in the afternoon was getting closer and closer. After the time it took for a joss stick to burn, Jin Xiaotang stood beside Lin Muyu. She gently waved her hand and drew a circle in the air. Immediately, the supervisor in the auction house nodded and went to give some instructions to his subordinates. Dang dang dang. The golden gong sounded, and everyone in the auction house became solemn. Soon, a beautiful girl walked up to the stage with a scroll in her hand. She smiled and said in a clear voice, Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, welcome to the Chamber of Commerce in the capital. I'm one of the managers of the Chamber of Commerce, Pan Zyiridium. If Miss Jin Xiaoting doesn't mind, I'll be the executor of this auction. Lin Muyu squinted her eyes and looked at the audience. Pan Zyiridium was dressed in a beautiful purple dress. As for her looks, she was not bad, with a score of 8. She could not compare to Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi, who were peerless beauties with a score of 10. However, if she was placed in Tongtian Street, she would be the overlord of all beauties, and her name was quite nice. On the stage, Pan Zyiridium was already skillfully introducing the auction items in the afternoon. After a long speech, she said, First, let's welcome the first auction item. A burly man walked up to the stage with a pitch-black battle axe on his shoulder. Pan Zyiridium walked up and grabbed the handle of the axe with both hands. She groaned but still could not lift it up. The axe slid down the burly man's shoulder and fell to the ground, smashing a hole in the floor. Pan Zyiridium covered her red lips and revealed an awkward expression. She smiled and said, I'm too weak to lift this axe for the time being. Let me introduce it this way. This axe is called Mountain Splitting Axe. It's 1.2 meters long and weighs 78 kilograms. It's a third stage spirit grade, and it's very sharp. The starting price is 500 Jinin coins. All right, everyone has started bidding. Lin Muyu looked at Jin Xiaotang with a puzzled expression. Jin Xiaotang burst into laughter. Jin Xiaotang giggled and said, Brother Ayu, this auction will last for at least 2 hours. Of course, we need something to start the auction, so I found a few spirit weapons. You have to understand Xiaotang's way of doing business. I understand. Lin Muyu laughed and continued watching. The first auction item was actually a spirit grade. It immediately attracted a wave of boos. Lin Muyu extended her spiritual pulse technique and could clearly hear the young master of the state general's residence, Ling Feng, chuckling. She dares to use a mere spirit grade to fool people. Looks like Jin Xiaoting doesn't have anything good to offer. How disappointing. As expected, the spirit grade axe did not fetch a high price. In the end, it was sold for 2,400 Jinin coins. It was won by a burly general. Judging from the emblem on his shoulder, he was from the Divine Might Battalion. Lin Muyu immediately frowned and said, Is the general of the Divine Might Battalion that rich? 2,400 Jinin coins is not a small number. Chu Huaijin's gaze was stern as he said, The Divine Might Battalion is the private army of the Divine Marquis, Zhen Yifan, so they don't need to carry out any missions. Many of them work as mercenaries and work for others to earn money. They have also done many things like robbing. What's funny is that Jin Yifan didn't restrain his subordinates. Instead, he killed the deputy commander of the Imperial Army, General Song Hanyuan, for the crime of farming. How infuriating! Lin Muyu snorted coldly. A cold glint appeared in her eyes. Even now, she could still hear Qin Lei's unwilling roar. The dignified son of a prince, the commander of the Imperial Army, and one of the 6 great white-robed Imperial Guards had to endure such humiliation. Who would have thought that? Very quickly, a total of 9 spirit-grade weapons were auctioned off. The most expensive was the first-rank spirit-grade sword, the Green Rock Spear. There were 2 of them in total, and both belonged to Lin Muyu. The final price was 8,700 Jinin coins. This also made Lin Muyu relax. If these spirit-grade weapons could be sold for such a high price, then her mysterious and saint-grade weapons would definitely not be too bad. She definitely wouldn't have any problems earning back her capital. At this moment, a general dressed in the Imperial Army's uniform, who had the rank of a Chiliarch, shouted loudly, "Hey, Pan Zian, I'm here for the mysterious grade weapons that you're talking about. You're trying to fool us with these spirit-grade weapons. That's enough, hurry up and take out your shop's treasures. Don't force me to go up on stage and strip off your purple clothes to see just how big you are." Pan Zian's face was completely calm. She stood on stage and gave the general a ladylike bow. She said, "This general can't wait any longer. There's no need to rush. Next up will be the auction of the mysterious grade weapons. First, let's welcome the first mysterious grade weapon, the Zephyr Blade. 7th rank mysterious grade. Net weight of 82 kilograms. Exceptionally sharp, able to cut a hair by blowing on it." A burly man from the Chamber of Commerce carried the Zephyr Blade and walked up the stage. Sure enough, the blade was piercingly cold. On the blade, there were even streaks of fiery light appearing from time to time. That was the special form that only refined soul weapons possessed. Chapter 140. Wind Zephyr Blade, Mysterious Grade Rank 7, Starting Price, 4,000 Jin. Pan Iridium announced loudly. As soon as he finished speaking, someone below the stage shouted, 7,000 Jin coins. Pan Iridium's eyes scanned the crowd and she smiled. The son of the Minister of Justice has bid 7,000 Jin. Is there a higher bid? 8,000 Jin. All right. General Liu of the Fire Sparrow Division has bid 8,000 Jin. Anyone else? 10,000 Jin. This is... Oh, please forgive me. Young Duke Shenfang of the Divine Marquis Constabulary has bid 10,000 Jin. Is there a higher bid? Even the young master of the Divine Marquis Constabulary was here, who in Lanyan City did not know the son of the Empire's god of war, Zhenfang. Moreover, Zhenfang was wearing a divine temple battle robe that was almost identical to Lin Muyu's and had a deacon badge. It was too eye-catching. Looks like the Divine Marquis Constabulary is also paying attention to this auction. Jean Xiaoteng covered her mouth and laughed. Lin Muyu glanced at her but did not blame her. After all, she was a businesswoman and was more concerned about profits than who she was doing business with. She did not care about the feud between Lin Muyu and the Divine Marquis Constabulary because it had nothing to do with her. After Zhenfang bid 10,000 Jin, there was no response for a long time. Pan Iridium was about to close the bid when another voice rang out. 12,000 Jin. The bidder was Ling Feng. Pan Iridium could not help but smile. All right, young Master Ling Feng of the State General's residence has bid 12,000 Jin. Young Duke Shenfang, do you want to increase the bid? Zhenfang crossed his arms and looked at Ling Feng from afar with an arrogant look in his eyes. He said, "Since the young master likes this fierce wind saber so much, then I, Zhenfang, will not take what others like. I will let you have this saber." Ling Feng cupped his fists and smiled. "Thank you, young Duke Shenfang." Lin Muyu could not help but chuckle to herself. It seemed like the National General's residence and the Divine Marquis residence were at loggerheads. Although Lanyan City looked prosperous, There were many forces and undercurrents. Looks like the Divine Marquis residence is not very rich. Zhen Fang actually gave up so easily. A dragon guard laughed. Lin Muyu shook her head and said indifferently, "No, Zhen Fang is just saving the money to wait for the weapon he wants." The dragon guards were stunned. In the end, the Zephyr Blade was priced at 12,000 Jinying coins, which was already out of Lin Muyu's expectations. The next weapon up for auction was the Fire-Devouring Sword. The final price was 13,500 Jinying coins. Sword-type weapons were indeed much more expensive than other weapons. At this point, Lin Muyu had already sold 4 of his weapons, earning him a total of 42,900 Jinying coins. He leisurely leaned against the windowsill and smiled as he looked down at the entire auction hall. The highlight was yet to come. Next, it's a divine weapon. Pan Zairian smiled. Behind her, 2 brawny men walked over with a saber. Pan Zairian wiped the back of the saber with her palm, and a layer of frost appeared in the air. She stuck out her tongue and smiled. "It's so cold." This saber is called the Ice Soul Saber, Profound Grade Rank 5. The starting bid is 10,000 Jinying coins. The blade is so sharp that it's extremely rare. Heroes who are well-versed in saber skills don't miss it. Immediately, Zhen Fang raised his arm and said, 15,000 Jinying coins. Although the Ice Soul Saber was Mysterious Rank 5, which was only 2 grades higher than the Fire-Devouring Sword, the difference between the two was like heaven and earth. Therefore, even the starting price was on a completely different level. 18,000 Jinying coins. Yuan Lian called out slowly. Then, Ling Feng raised his arm and said in a low voice, 22,000 Jinying coins, 25,000 Jinying coins. Instantly, the scene went completely out of control. There was an uproar in the hall. No one expected the Ice Soul Saber to be so popular, and the descendants of the aristocratic families were determined to get it. Zhen Fang clenched his teeth and raised his arm again. 30,000 Jinying coins. Everyone was silent. No matter how good the Ice Soul Saber was, it was too much for a mysterious rank 5 weapon to be sold at such a price. Yuan Lian's gaze was cold and he did not speak anymore. This price had exceeded his psychological barrier. After all, the National Protector General's residence did not have as much income as the Divine Marquis residence. Moreover, Zheng Yifan had students all over the world. Every year, the generals who came to the imperial capital from all the provinces of the empire to present gifts to him could break the threshold. The wealth of the Divine Marquis residence was well known. Even Ling Feng of the National Protector General's residence cupped his fists and smiled. Since the young duke is determined to get it, then, this Ice Soul Saber shall be yours. Zhen Fang nodded and did not reply. He ordered his servant to carry a bag of diamond coins to the backstage for the transaction. Unknowingly, the auction had been going on for more than an hour. At this time, the finale had finally arrived. 2 burly men from the Chamber of Commerce carried a spear wrapped in a black cloth onto the stage. Pan Zian walked forward and slowly held the spear's shaft. Vital energy flowed between her fingers. Suddenly, she shouted and her vital energy shattered the cloth, revealing the true appearance of the Purgatory Lightning Spear. Bolts of lightning slid along the spear's shaft, crackling as if demonstrating. In the blink of an eye, they condensed into the image of a ferocious lightning tiger on the spear's shaft. It roared angrily at the crowd below the stage, displaying the demeanor of a king. Heavenly! Saint Beast Soul? Zhen Fang was stunned. Ling Feng's mouth was also agape. Oh my god! The Imperial City Chamber of Commerce really got their hands on a saint-grade weapon. This, the trading house of Lanyan City, is going to change. Pan Zian's smile widened as he caressed the spear's shaft. The soul of the Purgatory Lightning Spear is a lightning spirit beast from the 8700s. It's a 7th level saint grade and can already condense a saint beast soul. This is the most powerful weapon our auction house has ever auctioned, so I don't need to elaborate on its value and significance. The starting bid is 30,000 Jinying coins. If you like the spear technique, don't miss it. 50,000 Jinying coins. Before Pan Ziyan's voice could fade, Jin Fang had already raised his arm. It seemed like he was really determined to get this purgatory lightning spear. 70,000 Jin Yin coins. Ling Feng of the State Guarding General's residence smiled lazily and raised the bid by 20,000 Jin Yin coins. It was as if 20,000 Jin Yin coins were just a number to him and meant nothing. Zhen Fang was startled. He gritted his teeth and raised his arm again. 80,000 Jin Yin coins. Ling Feng looked at Zhen Fang from afar and smiled. 100,000 Jin Yin coins. The bidding between the two left the National Protector General's residence's young master, Yuan Lian, speechless. Zhen Fang gritted his teeth and looked at Ling Feng from afar. It seems like the National Protector General's residence made a fortune by excavating minerals in the Qinling Mountains. This rumor is true. Ling Feng said coldly, the National Protector General's residence is merely carrying out His Majesty's mission. Young Duke, don't slander us without evidence. Every Jin Yin coin of the National Protector General's residence is earned in a proper way. Is that so? Zhen Fang sneered and raised his hand again. 120,000 Jin Yin coins. 150,000 Jin Yin coins. Ling Feng continued to raise the bid. It seemed like he wouldn't stop until one of them died. Zhen Fang's face instantly turned pale. He wanted to raise the bid, but he didn't have enough Jin Yin coins with him. He had spent too much on the Ice Soul Saber. Otherwise, he would be able to compete with Ling Feng. With a wave of his arm, Zhen Fang gave up. On the stage, Pan Ziyan smiled and said, "Congratulations to the young master of the National Protector General's residence for winning this Purgatory Lightning Spear. Please go backstage to complete the transaction, young Master Ling Feng." "Many thanks." Ling Feng cupped his fists. She turned to Lin Muyu and said, "Congratulations, big brother Yu. I thought the Purgatory Lightning Spear could only be sold for 100,000 Jin Yin coins at most. I didn't expect it to be sold for 150,000 Jin Yin coins. How scary!" Lin Muyu was overjoyed. Just the Purgatory Lightning Spear alone was enough for her to recoup her losses. Everything else was free. On top of that, she had used the raw materials to forge a demon-devouring bow for Wei Chou. It seemed that in this world, her treasure cauldron and refining techniques were indeed secret arts that could earn money too easily. She had to make good use of them. Even if she couldn't become the strongest person in this world, she had to become the richest person. On the stage, Pan Ziyan was still carrying out the original auction process. She smiled sweetly and said, "Next is the auction of the medicine. Oh, sorry for the long wait. This time, we will auction a total of 40 bottles of Dream of the Extreme. I believe that all of you know the origin of Dream of the Extreme. This is a medicine that can stimulate a person's potential to the greatest extent. It is priceless and was originally extinct on the continent. However, this auction house obtained the refinement of this Dream of the Extreme through a secret channel. Alright, without further ado, the starting price of Dream of the Extreme is 5,000 Jin Yin coins per bottle. Let's begin. 8,000 Jin Yin coins per bottle, I want all of them." A rough voice came from outside the door. Everyone looked over together to discover a formidable young general leading a group of imperial guards and stepping into the auction house. Qin Lei. Big brother Qin Lei is here? Lin Muyu was stunned. Chu Huaying also looked down the stage and said, "Yes, why is Commander Qin Lei here?" Jin Xiaotang was grinning from ear to ear. "Wow, even the commander of the Royal Guards is here. Hee, this time, our Imperial Chamber of Commerce is in the limelight." Lin Muyu frowned and said, "Since Commander Qin Lei wants it, can I go back on my word now? Xiaoying, can you stop the auction and sell all of these Dream of the Extreme to Commander Qin Lei in private?" Jin Xiaotang blinked. "Yes, I'll do it." As she spoke, she walked to the window and crossed her arms in front of the stage. Pan Ziyan, who was on the stage, saw this and nodded. He smiled and said, "I'm sorry, everyone, something cropped up at the last minute. The auction of Dream of the Extreme will stop now." "What?" Qin Lei didn't understand. He raised the thunder-splitting blade and said in a low voice, "You guys stop the auction when I come. What kind of logic is this?" Zhen Feng, Ling Feng, and the rest all expressed their dissatisfaction. Jin Xiaotang said from upstairs, "Commander Qin Lei, please come to the back hall. I have something to say." Not long after, the furious Qin Lei entered the back hall of the Chamber of Commerce. Just as he was about to flip out, he saw Lin Muyu, Chu Huaying, and Jin Xiaoting walking over together. Chu Huaying? You guys? Qin Lei's eyes widened. Jin Xiaotang giggled. "Commander Qin Lei, can't you tell? The refiner of Dream of the Extreme is Lin Muyu." Ah! This time, Qin Lei was even more shocked. "You actually has the ability to refine Dream of the Extreme?" Chapter 141. Commander Qin Lei is really muddle-headed this time. Chu Huaying laughed at the side. If he wasn't well-versed in the art of alchemy, how could he have cured Her Highness Yin's dragon snake poison in the dragon-seeking forest? Moreover, it's a dragon snake that's about to turn into a dragon. One can imagine how strong its poison is. Qin Lei slapped his forehead and said with a smile, "So that's how it is. I indeed didn't think of all this. Right, Ayu, since you're able to refine the peak of Reverie Dream, then Big Brother Qin Lei boldly wants to make a request of you. How about it?" "Go ahead, Big Brother." Lin Muyu smiled in response. "It's like this." Qin Lei walked forward and placed the Thunder Split blade on the table. "You know the strength of the Imperial Guards. Although they're the strongest military force in Lanyan City, you've also seen the strength of the Sanctuary Masters like Zhen Yifan and the Pale Crane. The Imperial Guards aren't strong enough. As the commander of the Imperial Guards, I want to give each of them a bottle of Dream of the Extreme. This means that you have to give me a total of 206 bottles of Dream of the Extreme. How about it? Can you do it?" The raw material for Dream of the Extreme is the Empire's forbidden medicine, the seven-colored lotus. Lin Muyu frowned and looked at Jin Xiaoting. "I wonder how many seven-colored lotus the Empire's trading house has left." Jin Xiaotang pursed her red lips and said, "The seven-colored lotus is a forbidden medicine, so there is a limit to the amount of seven-colored lotus in the trading firm. Previously, I gave almost all of my stock to Brother Ayu. If I were to buy more, it would be hard for me to absolve myself from the blame if the Imperial Guards or the Divine Might Battalion found out. Xiaotang is just a merchant. I don't want to be interrogated by the Fire Sparrow Division." Qin Lei laughed. "That's easy. As the commander of the Imperial Guards, I can't do much else, but I can write a document for you and stamp it with the Imperial Guard's military order. No matter how many seven-colored lotus you buy, no one will make things difficult for you." "Really? That's great." Jin Xiaotang cheered excitedly. Qin Lei quickly wrote the document and stamped it with a golden seal. Then he said, "Oh right, can you give me 40 bottles of Dream of the Extreme first? 8,000 Jin Yin coins per bottle, no bargaining." Lin Muyu hurriedly said, "No need. Since it's Big Brother Qin Lei who wants it, then there's no need for it to be so expensive. Besides, I don't know what to do with so much money right now." Qin Lei shook his head. What you've said is wrong. The money for dreaming of returning to Zenith Peak. Moreover, I've directly applied to His Majesty for the Ministry of Revenue to allocate this money. Every year, the Ministry of Revenue collects so much tax money, and it should be used in this place. Qin Lei, don't use it. I'm afraid that those high officials and nobles will also use this money to take in concubines and purchase treasures. Therefore, you don't have to be polite. Since that's the case, I'll gladly accept." "Yes, that's right." Qin Lei waved his hand, and a few royal guards behind him carried heavy bags over. When they opened them, they saw that they were all brand new diamond coins. 40 bottles of Dream of the Zenith, each bottle was 8,000, and a total of 320,000 Jin Yin coins, which was also 320 diamond coins. They were very heavy, and with a clang sound, they landed on the table. This sound made Lin Muyu and Jin Xiaotong's hearts burst with joy. The manager of the back hall did some calculations and said, the items that Lady Lin Muyu consigned for sale were sold for a total of 542,900 Jin Yin coins. After deducting 10% of the processing fee, we can earn a total of 488,610 Jin coins. Coins. To Miss Xiaotong's suggestion, give us a round figure of 490,000 Jin coins. After deducting the 90,000 Jin coins that you owe me, we'll immediately go and count out 400 diamond coins to give to Lady Lin Muyu. 400,000. Lin Muyu was overjoyed when she heard this. When the heavy bag of 400 diamond coins was placed in front of her eyes, she felt as if she was about to ascend to heaven. At the side, Wei Chou cupped his fists and said with a smile, "Congratulations on making a fortune, lady." Lin Muyu chuckled and took out 10 diamond coins from the money bag and directly handed them to Wei Chou, saying, "Take these 10,000 Jin coins as the expenses for rebuilding the camp." Yes, lady. Wei Chou received the money with a face full of joy. The living conditions of the Eagle Guards were already difficult to begin with. Moreover, many of the members of the Eagle Guards were born as commoners. Most of the salary that the Zetian Palace gave out every month was used to subsidize their families. They didn't have much money to begin with and lived frugally. Now that they had this 10,000 Jin coins, the 110 people under Lin Muyu's command would definitely be able to live a good life. Meeting a tycoon superior like this, happiness spontaneously arose. While Lin Muyu was still enjoying the joy of spending money like dirt, Qin Lei patted his shoulder and said with a smile, "Brat, stop smiling foolishly. Lord Chu Chu has already returned to the Zetian Palace this morning. Do you want to go visit him? If necessary, I'll go with you." "Grandpa Chu Chu has returned to the imperial capital?" Lin Muyu asked happily. "All right, we'll head over immediately." Thus, he instructed Wei Chou and the rest of the Eagle Guards to purchase the stones while Lin Muyu returned to the Zetian Palace with Qin Lei and Chu Huayin. In the blink of an eye, it seemed that they hadn't returned to the Zetian Palace for many days. As a result, they felt a little unfamiliar when they looked at the majestic imperial city from afar. The 390 diamond coins hung heavily on both sides of the warhorse. Lin Muyu felt extremely happy when he saw this money. He smiled foolishly all the way into the Zetian Palace. In the side palace, a group of attendants were respectfully prostrating themselves on both sides of the palace. They were unfolding a huge piece of white paper for Qin Jin. Meanwhile, Qin Jin was waving his brush and splashing ink on the white paper. He wrote the words landscape like a painting in an elegant manner. Qin Jin was known to be an expert in both calligraphy and painting. Although Lin Muyu didn't know much about calligraphy, he could tell that Qin Jin's handwriting was very powerful. Chu Chu stood at the side and said with a smile, "Your Majesty's handwriting is getting more and more sincere." Qin Jin smiled. "Lord Chu Chu also knows calligraphy. Then why are you saying all these?" "I'm just praising your Majesty." Qin Jin was speechless. At this moment, one of the attendants said, "Your Majesty, Commander Qin Lei has brought Lord Lin Muyu to look for Lord Chu Chu. They're just outside the door." Chu Chu stroked his white beard and said with a smile, "Does your Majesty want to follow this old man to see that brat Lin Muyu?" Qin Jin frowned and said, "There's no need. Lord Chu Chu can do as he pleases." Understood. It seemed like Qin Jin was still brooding over Lin Muyu's disobedience. Chu Chu had no choice but to leave. Outside the side palace, Lin Muyu caressed her money pouch. She was still immersed in the happiness of suddenly becoming a nouveau riche. Chu Chu coughed. Only then did Lin Muyu wake up from her beautiful dream. She turned around and said with a smile, "Grandpa Chu Chu, you're back?" Chu Chu nodded. "Stinking brat, you were actually able to come back alive after being exiled from the Tongtian Tower. You're really tough." "Ha! That's right, what's in your pouch? You're touching it so lustfully. Could it be that there's a beauty inside?" Chu Chu raised his eyebrows and asked with a smile. No." Lin Muyu opened a corner of the money pouch and said with a smile, "Grandpa Chu Chu, come and take a look for yourself." Chu Chu glanced at it and a look of shock flashed across his eyes. "You robbed the treasury of the Ministry of Revenue? How is that possible?" Lin Muyu said angrily, "Am I only this kind of person in your heart? I earned this money with my own hands and sweat." Chu Chu couldn't help but smile. You're carrying this heavy pouch around, aren't you afraid that your money will be exposed? Fine, I found a treasure when I was training in the dragon-seeking forest. I'll give it to you. Oh, what treasure? Lin Muyu was extremely excited. Chu Chu took out a black pouch and said with a smile, "It's this." The pouch was not much bigger than a palm. Lin Muyu was instantly speechless. This small pouch is used to store fruits, right? Chu Chu said, "This is the legendary Cosmos pouch. There's a universe inside. It's invulnerable to weapons, water, and fire. It's a type of space pouch. It can store things that only belong to you in a different space." Is that so? Lin Muyu took the pouch, opened the mouth of the Cosmos pouch, and put her hand inside. Sure enough, she could put her arm inside. It was very magical. Moreover, the inside of the Cosmos pouch was very cold. It was indeed a good thing to store things in a different space. Moreover, the Cosmos pouch was not very heavy, and it was convenient to carry around. That's great. He was ecstatic. He immediately grabbed handfuls of diamond coins and threw them into the pouch. Then he tried to take them out. There were no obstacles, but the storage space was limited. The total storage space was only about the size of a storage room. However, it was enough. After putting all 390 heavy diamond coins into the Cosmos pouch, he tied the pouch around his waist and happily cupped his fists. "Thank you, Grandpa Chu Chu. I like this Cosmos pouch. It's good that you like it. Then take out some money." Chu Chu extended his hand. "What are you doing? I'm giving you a Cosmos pouch. Shouldn't you give Grandpa some money to buy some wine?" Chu Chu blew his beard and glared at her. "This Cosmos pouch is a rare treasure. It can be sold for at least a few 100,000 Jin coins at an auction. Your Grandpa Chu Chu has always been incorruptible. His monthly salary is only so little. You should show your filial piety." Lin Muyu reluctantly grabbed a handful of diamond coins. There were 10 of them in total. She gave them all to Chu Chu and said, "Grandpa, you should be frugal." Chu Chu quickly stuffed the diamond coins into his pocket. He smiled and nodded. "Yes, I know." Qin Lei, Feng Jixing, Chu Huaying and the rest did not know whether to laugh or cry. Lin Muyu was relieved to see that Chu Chu had returned. The Divine Might Battalion had become more and more aggressive recently. Coupled with Zhen Yifun's extraordinary strength, the balance of power had tilted towards the Divine Marquis Constabulary. However, things were different now that Chu Chu had returned. The fire cauldron Chu Chu was in the capital. Even Zhen Yifun had to be wary of him. The strength of both parties had reached a subtle equilibrium. Qin Lei walked forward and asked in a low voice, "Sir Chu Chu, how is the investigation of the House of Chivalry going?" Chu Chu shook his head. "The House of Chivalry in Lingnan is lying dormant. There are no big movements for the time being. Only the House of Chivalry near the capital, Lanyan City, seems to be ready to make a move. My appearance and strength are too easy to be discovered. Therefore I did not gain much. The only thing I gained is, I have an ominous feeling." "Of course it's ominous." Feng Jixing gripped his wind cutter tightly. "Princess, she was ambushed in the dragon-seeking forest. Princess Yin was also ambushed by the House of Chivalry in the dragon-seeking forest. There must be a conspiracy behind this. And this conspiracy is against the entire Qin Empire." Chu Chu took a deep breath. "Yes, but we have no clues now." Chapter 142. At this moment, the door to the side chamber opened again. An official walked out and said respectfully, "Sirs, His Majesty has summoned Chu Chu, Feng Jixing, Qin Lei, Chu Huaying, and Lin Muyu for a meeting." Chu Chu smiled. Everyone was solemn. They did not know why the emperor had summoned them to the side chamber. Lin Muyu was a little surprised. She had thought that Qin Jin would not want to see her again, but it seemed that he did not think so. She followed Chu Chu, Feng Jixing, and the others into the side chamber. A few officials hurriedly put away Qin Jin's calligraphy. Qin Jin sat firmly on the throne with his head lowered. His eyes were dim and he did not speak. The crowd stood on both sides. Chu Chu and Qin Lei stood at the front, followed by Feng Jixing. Lin Muyu and Chu Huaying stood at the back in an orderly manner. Chu Chu walked forward and cupped his fists. Your Majesty, what instructions do you have for summoning us? Qin Jin slowly raised his head and said, The Hall of Chivalry. Chu Chu was stunned. Qin Jin continued, The Fire Sparrow Bureau and the Ministry of Justice have been investigating the Hall of Chivalry, but there have been no results. Even Sir Chu Chu is personally investigating. However, the truth behind the Hall of Chivalry seems to be very well hidden. If there are no results, then we shall ban the Hall of Chivalry. Feng Jixing hurriedly cupped his fists. Your Majesty, you must not do that. The Hall of Chivalry is a resting place for cultivators. If we really ban all the halls of chivalry, I'm afraid the number of cultivators in the Empire will be greatly reduced. What's wrong with that? Qin Jin raised his brows. Why can't the Empire give up on martial arts and learn how to govern the country? Feng Jixing said, The nomads of the desert in the north have repeatedly invaded the south, and the southern barbarians in the south have always been restless. If the Empire really gives up on the House of Chivalry, I'm afraid there won't be many martial arts practitioners joining the army. This is very disadvantageous to the Empire. Qin Jin abruptly slammed his palm on the table, sending the memorials flying. With a furious expression, he said, How dare the House of Chivalry send someone to assassinate Xiao Yin and Xiao Shi? Are we just going to let this matter rest? Feng Jixing was stunned. He had served the emperor for many years, but he had never seen him so angry. Chu Chu hurriedly cupped his fists and said, Your Majesty, we are incompetent. We are unable to find out the truth behind the House of Chivalry. It is because the cultivators in the House of Chivalry are mobile, and the wardens of each House of Chivalry are elected by the people. It is too difficult to find out the truth. We still have to get to the bottom of this. Qin Jin's face was ashen. Otherwise, I don't know when I will be assassinated by the House of Chivalry. Do you want to see that day come? We are unwilling. Chu Chu, Feng Jixing, and the others cupped their fists. Let's think of an idea. Qin Jin heaved a sigh of relief. He seemed a little tired as he slowly lay down on the throne. At this moment, Chu Huaying cupped his fists and said, Your Majesty, I believe that we should send a capable person to infiltrate the House of Chivalry within the imperial capital. Only by investigating the House of Chivalry from the inside can we uncover the person behind these incidents. I am untalented, but I am willing to infiltrate the House of Chivalry. Qin Jin's lips curled up. General Chu Huaying is recommending himself? I have heard some rumors that General Chu and Divine Marquis Zheng Yifun's daughter are in love. If that is the case, General Chu is not suitable to carry out this task. Chu Huaying trembled when he heard this. He hurriedly knelt on one knee and said, Your Majesty, although Chu Huaying is in love with Zheng Xiang, he has no other feelings for you. Heaven and earth can bear witness to this. I know. Qin Jin raised his hand and said, You may rise. I know your feelings, which is why I called you in. However, General Chu Huaying is still not suitable for this task. You are one of the leaders of the Dragon Guards of the Imperial Guards. You are responsible for protecting me and Her Highness. You should not leave your post without permission. Leave this matter to the experts of the Fire Sparrow Bureau or the Ministry of Justice. Chu Huaying's expression was unusually ugly. Lin Muyu could see it. He also knew the implications of this matter. Once he lost the Emperor's trust, Chu Huaying would soon be kicked out of the Imperial Guards. Your Majesty. Lin Muyu stepped forward and cupped his fists respectfully. I am one of the leaders of the Eagle Guards. Moreover, the Eagle Guards are responsible for spying on the military. Chu Huaying is my sworn brother. I am willing to carry out this task on his behalf. Qin Jin looked at her from afar. He suddenly smiled and said, There are many hidden talents in the House of Chivalry. Once your identity is exposed, you will definitely be killed. Lin Muyu, are you really willing to carry out this task? That's good. I will leave this matter to you. Qin Lei, you will be in charge. Qin Lei cupped his fists. Yes, Your Majesty. I am tired. You can all leave. Everyone obediently left. After exiting the side hall, Chu Chu immediately frowned and said, You are really a newborn calf who is not afraid of tigers. You don't know what kind of place the House of Chivalry is. If you go there rashly, you might really lose your life. Lin Muyu smiled. It doesn't matter. I will act according to the circumstances. Yes. Chu Chu continued. Once you enter the House of Chivalry, you must change your surname to E. Moreover, your green gourd martial soul is too conspicuous. Try not to reveal it. After all, you are the only one who was able to come out of the Tower of Tong Tian alive. Everyone in the capital knows that there is a Lin Muyu in the Imperial Guards who is proficient in the Imperial Sword technique and possesses the 10th grade green gourd martial soul. You cannot use the green gourd or the Imperial Sword technique. Do you understand? Understood, Chu. Chu Chu stopped in his tracks and said, By the way, have you figured out how to enter the House of Chivalry? You have to know that the House of Chivalry is not an ordinary place. They are like a mercenary group entrenched among the people. With your strength, you will be easily discovered if you enter the House of Chivalry. At least, you should have a referral. Referral? Lin Muyu was stunned. Among us, who is familiar with the House of Chivalry? Feng Jixing could not help but laugh. We are all Imperial Guards. We are people who are loyal to the Qin family. The House of Chivalry is an organization among the people. Do you think we are familiar with each other? Chu Huaying frowned and said, I know someone who might be able to help you sneak into the House of Chivalry. But who is it? Someone you are very familiar with. Jin Xiaotang. Chu Huaying smiled slightly. Jin Xiaotang is one of the people in charge of the capital's Chamber of Commerce. A woman who is able to shoulder such a large business empire must be someone who works in both the underworld and in the underworld. I heard that many of Jin Xiaotang's goods are bought from the House of Chivalry and wandering mercenaries. All right, I understand. Lin Muyu cupped her fists and left her horse and armor behind. She then changed into plain clothes and bid farewell to Chu Chu, Feng Jixing, and the others. She then went to the Chamber of Commerce alone. This trip concerned the safety of Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi, Chu Huaying, and the others. She had to complete this mission. Moreover, Lin Muyu could vaguely feel that there was a huge conspiracy behind the House of Chivalry. It might even affect the survival of the entire empire. Within the Chamber of Commerce, Jin Xiaotang was calculating the day's income and expenditure. She closed the account book and smiled at Third Fatty Jin. Dad, the Chamber of Commerce's total income has exceeded $1 million Jin dollars today. Hee, this is great. Let's see how the other chambers of commerce can compete with us for the title of the #1 Chamber of Commerce in the capital. Third Fatty Jin took a puff of his cigarette and looked up at his daughter. Speaking of which, it's all thanks to Lin Muyu. Who knows how many secrets this brat is hiding? That's right. Jin Xiaotang blinked and smiled. Anyway, Big Brother Yu's forging and alchemy can be sold in our Chamber of Commerce. There's no need for us to ask him what he doesn't want to tell us. At this moment, a manager quickly walked in. Miss Xiaoting, Lin Muyu wishes to see you. He's here to see you? Third Fatty Jin was stunned. Is there another business? Jin Xiaotang squinted her eyes. No, there must be something else. I'll go over. Dad, continue drinking your tea. All right. In the side hall at the back, Lin Muyu was already there when Jin Xiaotang arrived. She immediately smiled. Big Brother Yu, what business do you have with me this time? Lin Muyu looked around. I want to speak to you in private. Jin Xiaotang was extremely smart. She immediately dismissed her servants and smiled. Can you speak now? Lin Muyu pondered for a moment. Xiaotang, do you know anyone from the House of Chivalry? Well, Jin Xiaotang hesitated. Why does Big Brother Yu want to ask? I just want to ask. I need someone to introduce me to the House of Chivalry so that I can carry out a very important mission. It seemed like there was no need to hide anything from Jin Xiaotang. Jin Xiaotang giggled. Thank you, Big Brother Yu, for trusting me so much. Since that's the case, I'll help you. Our Imperial Chamber of Commerce has always done business with the House of Chivalry's Shaolin branch near the dragon-seeking forest, so Xiaotang has some influence there. How should I write a letter of introduction for you? How should I introduce you? Lin Muyu from the Holy Sanctum or Lin Muyu from the Royal Guards? I don't want either. I want a new identity. Oh. Jean Xiaotang squinted her eyes and smiled. Then I'll make up a new identity for you. How about a wandering mercenary? Sure. What should I call it? Let's call it Linyan? Lin Muyu said after some thought. This name belonged to her big brother. It was not a bad idea to use it here to show her memory of her big brother. Jean Xiaotang immediately took out a pen and paper to write the letter of introduction. After a few minutes, she dried the ink and smiled. It's done. The Shaolin branch is the largest house of chivalry in Lanyan City. It's said that there are more than 500 rangers living in the house all year round. Big brother you must be careful when you go there. It's a place full of crouching tigers and hidden dragons. Yes, I know. Chapter 143. Papa. A gray messenger bird flapped its wings and flew out of the window, while third fatty Jean slowly pressed the paper under the scroll on the table. At this moment, someone knocked on the door. Come in. Jean shouting pushed the door open and entered with a joyful expression. Father, I heard a messenger bird in the room just now. Did someone send a letter? A third fatty Jean fanned the temperature of the tea in his hand and smiled. No, it's just a greeting letter from a friend. Shouting, why is Lin Muyu looking for you? Jean Xiaotang's gaze swept across the document, and she saw the emblem of two swords at the end of the paper. It was the emblem unique to the House of Chivalry, and the emblem was painted blood red. This meant that this letter was sent to her father by at least a game envoy of the House of Chivalry. Moreover, the cup of tea in third fatty Jin's hand had already been warmed, and there was no need to fan it down. Nothing much. He just wants to know when I can get the Rainbow Lotus in stock. Big brother Yu is really short on money right now. Jean Xiaotang smiled. Third fatty Jean squinted his eyes and said, Lin Muyu is a member of the Royal Guard, but he seems to have been sent to the Eagle Nest Camp. The Eagle Nest Camp is so poor, so it's normal for him to be short on money. Oh right, have the ores from the Cloud Province arrived yet? Not yet. Is it very urgent, father? Oh, it's not that urgent. Xiaotang, hire a group of first-rate blacksmiths from Lanyan City. I want to forge a batch of weapons. Jean Xiaotang was stunned. Then let big brother you do it? No, Lin Muyu is a top-notch blacksmith. We shouldn't trouble him with this kind of thing. After all, it's not easy for our Imperial Capital Chamber of Commerce to hold onto such a big tree. We shouldn't trouble him so easily. That's right. Father, you're so thoughtful. I'll get it done now. Jean Xiaotang pushed open the door and a trace of worry flashed across her face. Do. Lin Muyu ascended Eagle Nest Mountain amidst the clattering of horse hooves. She found Wei Chou and made arrangements for the team's daily work. She told them that they had to be orderly and not let anyone know that they were not in Eagle Nest Camp. Then she went down the mountain from the back. At this moment, Lin Muyu had already changed into a dark green warrior's outfit. She wore a tattered mercenary badge on her chest. Her burning prairie sword was wrapped in black cloth and carried on her back. Even the horse she was riding on was just bought from the market. The war horses of the Royal Army and the Holy Cathedral were carefully selected. Furthermore, there were emblems on their buttocks and hooves. It was too easy to be discovered, so she had to find another mode of transportation. Hua! She opened the scroll and looked at the direction of the House of Chivalry's Shaolin branch on the map. She urged her horse and galloped there. The sky was getting dark, so she had to reach the Shaolin branch before dark. Along the edge of the dragon-seeking forest, there were only a few villages and houses along the way. Basically, there were no cultivators. When she was about 10 miles away from the Shaolin branch, she saw some rangers. These people carried long swords and wore emblems of the House of Chivalry on their chests. They were green, white, iron, and bronze. Lin Muyu could not understand the classification of the House of Chivalry at the moment, so she did not think too much about it and went straight ahead. Before sunset, she arrived at the foot of a nameless mountain. She saw a road winding all the way to the top of the mountain. On the road at the foot of the mountain, there was a towering tree that had been cut in half. The bark was peeled off, and 8 blood-red words were carved on it with a knife, House of Chivalry's Shaolin branch. She had arrived. Pulling the reins, Lin Muyu walked over slowly. There were 8 rangers standing guard at the mountain gate. Each of them had a hostile look on their faces. Although the rangers in the House of Chivalry claimed to be chivalrous, Lin Muyu knew a thing or two from the rumors. In fact, the biggest difference between this group of people and mercenaries was that their organization was very large. As for the rest, it seemed that they were just SOS. They even dared to attack the princess of the empire and the countess of Qihai City. In fact, this group of people was even more daring than mercenaries. "Who is it?" A ranger pointed his long sword at Lin Muyu and said, "What are you doing at the top of the mountain?" Lin Muyu cupped her fists and said in the words that Jin Shaoying taught her, "Righteousness comes first when traveling in Jianghu. When the weather is cold, find a place to sleep. I am Lin Yan, a mercenary from Lanyan City. I have specially come to visit the House of Chivalry." "You want to join the House of Chivalry?" the ranger asked. Haha. The ranger's face was full of hostility. With a shake of his sword, he had already unsheathed it. He said in a low voice, "If you want to join the House of Chivalry, the first condition is to defeat anyone in the House of Chivalry. What do you think of me?" In fact, this ranger was at most at the first heaven of the human realm. He was not even at level 10. He was only guarding the mountain gate with his bravery. How could Lin Muyu take this kind of person seriously? She opened her palm, and a vigorous force gushed out. She lightly waved her palm in the air. Bang! The ranger was blasted back again and again. The blood in his body was tumbling, but he did not even see how his opponent attacked. Although he wanted to use his genuine chi to fight again, he seemed to have no strength left. With a red face, he said, You win. Let's go up the mountain." Lin Muyu raised her hand and saluted. She smiled and grabbed the reins, urging the horse to go up the mountain. The other 7 rangers did not even look at him. It seemed that the matter of someone going up the mountain had nothing to do with them. The warhorse snorted as it walked up the mountain step by step. Lin Muyu couldn't help but look around. Along the way, there were many houses with white walls and black tiles. They were all prepared for the rangers. With so many houses, one could imagine how many rangers there were in this place. Faint roars of battle could be heard coming from the dense forest. It was obvious that there were people training or cultivating. Along the road, there was a group of buildings near the top of the mountain. They had arrived at the headquarters of the Shaolin branch. Outside the headquarters, many rangers were cultivating. Some were chopping wooden dummies, and some were practicing riding and archery. However, when Lin Muyu slowly walked over, these people almost stopped cultivating. They all looked at Lin Muyu as if they were looking at a monkey in the zoo. "Look at that kid. He actually stepped into the House of Chivalry wearing a mercenary medal. He is courting death. Damn idiot. Don't you know that the House of Chivalry has a grudge against mercenaries? Get off the horse and die. Brat, if you dare to look at me like that again, believe it or not, I will chop off your descendants." Lin Muyu frowned. The rudeness of the rangers seemed to be better than that of the wandering mercenaries. Even people like Hawkeye were not so vulgar. This group of people all wore the badges of the House of Chivalry on their chests. Some were bronze, some were silver, some were gold, and some were white. Presumably, the ranking system was similar to that of the Holy Temple. However, Lin Muyu extended his spiritual pulse technique and scanned the people wearing the gold badges. He found that their strength was only at the level of 40 to 50 war venerable. They were far inferior to the royal guards and the Holy Temple's gold star level. It was no wonder that the House of Chivalry could not compete with the imperial capital. Thinking of this, he could not help but laugh. If they wanted to kill Qin Yin with just these people, it was simply a fool's dream. However, Lin Muyu's laughter was like the most powerful mockery in the world. The group of rangers immediately became irritable. One of the warriors wearing the gold badge walked forward with his axe. His face was full of anger. He shouted, "Brat, what are you laughing at? Do you know how ugly your smile is? You are not allowed to laugh or I will chop your head off." This person looked fierce. but his face was particularly ugly. There were scars all over it. It was said that ugly people would think that beautiful people were especially ugly. This was a kind of aesthetic distortion. This person said that to Lin Muyu, but Lin Muyu was not angry at all. "I'm here to pay my respects." Lin Muyu reached into his arms and took out Jin Xiaotong's letter of introduction. He dismounted and held the letter of introduction with both hands. He said very respectfully, "Sir, this is my letter of introduction. Please help me to pass on my message." Lin Muyu was born into an illustrious family. He was the young master of the Longtime group. He had received an excellent education since he was young. His greatest strength was probably that he did not care about the poor or the poor. He was humble and respectful to everyone. The man with the battle axe grinned. Seeing that the kid was so respectful, he was embarrassed to explode. He grabbed the letter of introduction with one hand and said, "Don't call me sir. I am not one of those high-ranking officials in Lanyan City. My name is Long Yen. You can call me Lord Long Yen." Lin Muyu was speechless. Long Yen turned around and left with the letter of introduction. It didn't take long for him to return. He said, "You are Lin Yen, right? Come, follow me. The great travel envoy wants to see you." "Okay." Lin Muyu tied his horse to a wooden stake and walked up the steps, following Long Yen into the headquarters. There were quite a few guards on both sides of the main altar's entrance, and all of them were clad in excellent armor. Their weapons looked decent as well, and they were all looking straight ahead. When Lin Muyu entered the passageway, he actually sensed a hint of killing intent. Truth be told, the rangers outside were nothing to be afraid of, but the guards inside the main altar had to be on their guard. These people seemed to be professional soldiers, and when they formed a killing formation together, the explosive power they could unleash would be terrifying. He had already experienced this when he was being chased around Kathaya City. The cavalry killing formation was fast and effective. A group of level 10 martial artists could easily kill a level 30 martial artist. It was like playing a game, and the power of a single soldier could not be compared to that of a group. The stone tiles on the ground reflected the color of blood. When Lin Muyu entered the headquarters, he found that the tiles under his feet had turned into glazed tiles. The lamps on the surrounding walls had also been replaced with glazed lamps. The ceiling was painted with the Empire's characteristic battle map. The feeling of this headquarters was somewhat similar to that of Zetian Palace. The level of luxury was no less than that of Zetian Palace. "You are Lin Yen? Look up." A cold voice came from the front. Chapter 144. A crimson gold-plated carpet was laid all the way to the steps, and then to the seats. There were 3 seats in the main altar hall. The throne in the center was inlaid with gold, while the other 2 seats were inlaid with silver. Needless to say, the middle-aged martial artist in his 40s sitting in the middle was the legendary Grand Chess user, who was also the supreme leader of the House of Chivalry in the North Ridge province. The leader had a square face, and the contours of his face looked like they were carved by a knife. He looked determined and experienced. He must have experienced a lot to be able to sit in the position of the leader. "I am Lin Yen. Greetings, Grand Chess user." Lin Muyu stood still and gave a fist salute. The Grand Chess user laughed. Well said, well said. "Brother Lin Yen, since you plan to join the House of Chivalry, why don't you take off the mercenary badge on your chest?" "I can only take off the mercenary badge the moment I get the knight-errant badge." "Huh, interesting." The Grand Chess user smiled. "Li Qinshuan, Luo Yu, what do you two think of this kid?" Li Qinshuan was a man in his 40s. There was neither joy nor anger on his face, which made him an unfathomable person. He held onto a broadsword and said calmly, "If he stays, he'll start working as a solo swordsman. How far he can climb will depend on his own capabilities. Our House of Chivalry has never been particular about relationships. We treat everyone equally, even if they're introduced by Jin Xiaotong." The Grand Chess user laughed. "Very good. What do you think, Luo Yu?" Luo Yu was a young man, about the same age as Feng Jixing and Qin Lei. She smiled and said, "I think the same as Li Qinshuan. Let him start from the bottom." "All right." The Grand Chess user waved his hand and said, Long Yen, bring Lin Yen down and give him a rogue badge. Arrange a place for him to stay. Heh, I don't care if you are a dragon or a worm. If you want to make a name for yourself in the House of Chivalry, you must show your true abilities. Lin Muyu smiled and gave a fist salute. She followed Long Yen out of the door, turned left, and entered a courtyard. She saw an old man with trembling fingers carving a name tag. This made Lin Muyu a little worried. This old man seemed to be suffering from severe Parkinson's disease. The frequency at which his hands were shaking was a little scary. Would it be okay for him to carve a name tag? Long Yen walked up and said with a smile, "Old man, carve a badge for the rookie. The rogue badge's name is Lin Yen. Hurry, I give you 1 minute." The elder nodded and took a green metal block from the side. He quickly carved the words Lin Yen on it. In front of it was the emblem of the House of Chivalry's twin swords. "Good," the old man said with a smile. Long Yen snatched the nameplate and handed it to Lin Muyu. He smiled and said, "Lin Yen, from this moment onwards, you have entered the Hall of Chivalry's roster. However, you are now a lone hero of the lowest rank. Here, this is your badge." Lin Muyu took the badge and put it in front of her chest. She asked, "Master Long Yen, what is the meaning of a rogue?" Long Yen glared at her. "You don't even know the ranking system of the House of Chivalry. How dare you come here?" Lin Muyu was silent. Long Yen laughed and continued, "Listen, the House of Chivalry is divided into 9 levels, from the lowest to the highest. The first level is the rogue you are now, followed by the Venerable, the Iron Venerable, the Bronze Venerable, the Silver Venerable, the Jin Zun, the Chess Envoy, and the Grand Chess Envoy." He paused and continued, "Every province has a headquarters and a Grand Chess Envoy. The Grand Chess Envoy of our Shaolin branch is called Ji Yang. He is a great person. You will know him in the future. As for the Grand Chess Envoy, there is a Chief Chess Envoy. But ordinary people can't get close to him. I have worked in the House of Chivalry for 7 years and reached the position of Jin Zun, but I have never seen the Chief Chess Envoy. You can imagine how mysterious he is. Let's go. I will take you to your residence." "Yes." Lin Muyu led the horse and followed Long Yen to his residence. She was dumbfounded when she arrived. It was too shabby. It was a temporary straw shed and there was nothing else. Looking at Lin Muyu's expression, Long Yen could not help but laugh. This is the treatment of a rogue. If you are really capable, you can climb up step by step. Silver Venerable can enjoy a woman once every 3 days. Jin Zun will be given a concubine. Chess envoys are treated even better. They have their own courtyard and 3 concubines. As for the Grand Chess Envoy, I am not too sure. Everything here is decided by the Grand Chess Envoy. Everything belongs to him." Lin Muyu nodded. "Then how do I get promoted?" "That is simple. There will be missions here every day. Eliminate our enemies, assassination missions, exterminate spirit beasts, and so on. As long as you complete them, you will be given contribution points according to the mission level. Once you have enough contribution points, you can naturally go to the main altar to level up." As he said this, Long Yen revealed a sinister expression. "But the premise of all this is that you do not die. Once you die, the contribution points will be useless." "Heh," Lin Muyu smiled inwardly. Carrying her luggage, she said, "All right then. It is late at night. Lord Long Yen, rest early." "All right." Dinner could not be said to be sumptuous. A bowl of plain porridge and 2 large pancakes. It was very simple, but it was enough to fill one's stomach. The days of a rogue were really too hard. There were a few other straw sheds not far from Lin Muyu's straw shed. It was late at night, but a few rogue were still holding a night tea party. A young rogue, no more than 17 years old, with a childish face, said with a smile, "The missions will be issued tomorrow morning. I am really looking forward to it. I wonder what is the first hostile mission I will receive?" Another rogue, who was at least 30 years old, sneered. "Little Nail, you really don't know how powerful you are. Every day there are rogue who die. I hope you are not one of them." The young rogue called Little Nail stuck out his tongue and said with a smile, "Uncle Wang, how many people are there in this Shaolin branch?" Uncle Wang said, I saw the roster today. It seems that there are more than 2,700 rogue, 224 venerable, 110 iron venerable, 42 bronze venerable, 17 silver venerable, 5 Jin Zun, 2 game masters, and 1 grand game master. There are more than 3,000 people in total. Otherwise, the whole hill would be full of people. Little Nail, don't always think about doing those dangerous missions. Saving your life is the most important thing. Yes, thank you, Uncle Wang. Go to bed early. Rest well. But Lin Muyu, on the other hand, could not fall asleep. It was winter now, and the night wind whistled past, cutting his face like a knife. The straw hut did not have 4 walls, and he had rarely experienced such harsh conditions. However, he could only endure it. His current rank was not close to that of a Grand Travel Envoy or a Grand Travel Envoy, and he could only learn the secrets behind the House of Chivalry from them. He slowly spread his spiritual mind. It was very quiet in the House of Chivalry at night. Almost no one spoke, so his spiritual mind could only feel a wave of power fluctuations, but he could not find anything. This made Lin Muyu very unhappy. The system of the House of Chivalry was too strict. In this case, it was impossible to use the spiritual pulse technique to eavesdrop. He extended his spiritual mind to a place further away, and soon he felt a few strong waves of genuine qi. It was the residence of the Jin Zun Rangers. Further away, an aura of genuine qi at the peak of the 3rd sky of the Earth realm was slowly fluctuating. Unsurprisingly, it was one of the game masters, Luo Yu, who was at the peak of the 3rd sky of the Earth realm. There was another, even stronger force at the Heaven realm. The power of fighting qi was dense. It was the Grand Game Master, Li Qianxuan. As for the peak of the mountain, about 300 meters away from Lin Muyu, he could still feel the surging fighting qi. It was the Grand Game Master, Jiang. This person had hidden his strength. He had at least stepped into the 2nd sky of the Heaven realm. He was a heavenly king. Not long after he released his spiritual mind, Lin Muyu withdrew his spiritual mind and used the spiritual pulse technique to hide the strength of his fighting qi. He could spy on others, but others might also have a secret technique similar to the spiritual pulse technique to spy on him. He had to be careful in this place. He didn't know how long he had slept. Suddenly, the crowing of a rooster disturbed his dream. When he opened his eyes, Dongfang Shuyang was already on his face. It was early in the morning. There was no morning exercise in the House of Chivalry. Everyone practiced on their own and didn't interfere with each other. After washing up, it was another nutritious breakfast. At this time, the game master, Luo Yu, came to the square with a scroll. He raised his genuine qi and said loudly, "Everyone listen up. Today's mission is the same as before. Kill the spirit beasts and bring back the spirit stones. Your contribution will be increased according to the age of the spirit stones. In addition, there is a group of wandering mercenaries occupying the Moat Fish Mountain in the east. After you kill the mercenaries and bring back their heads, your contribution will be increased according to the mercenaries' level. That's it. You can go now." The mission is really easy. Lin Muyu grinned. Long Yen held his battle axe and shouted in a low voice, "Those who want to attack the Moat Fish Mountain, come with me. Bring your bows and arrows." Suddenly, at least 1,000 people followed Long Yen to attack the Moat Fish Mountain. The House of Chivalry had never been on good terms with the major mercenary corps. Killing mercenaries to improve one's status in the House of Chivalry seemed to be a bit disdainful. Lin Muyu didn't plan to kill. After all, his hands were stained with enough blood. He only killed those who deserved to be killed. As for the mercenaries, in fact, many people became mercenaries just to survive. They didn't do anything evil. Carrying the burning prairie sword, he led the horse and set off to the dragon forest to try his luck. He wanted to see what kind of spirit beasts he could meet today. Maybe it would be faster and more effective to use the spirit stones of the spirit beasts to improve his status in the House of Chivalry. He went down the mountain and went straight to the southeast. Chapter 145. Rustle, rustle. At the edge of the dragon-seeking forest, there were only a few young spirit beasts wandering around. Furthermore, These spirit beasts were extremely vigilant. Once they discovered traces of humans, they would immediately flee in panic. Lin Muyu tied the warhorse far away at the edge of the forest and slowly groped his way into the dragon-seeking forest with the burning prairie sword in hand. His main target was to lock onto some spirit beasts that were below 1,000 years old. Because he had just arrived, killing spirit beasts that were thousands of years old the moment he arrived would inevitably cause Jiyang, Luo Yu and the other chess envoys to become suspicious. He had to give them a mental buffer. Not far ahead, a purple-haired badger was digging through the snow in the forest, searching for some wild radishes under the snow. As it dug, it would occasionally raise its head to look at its surroundings. It was extremely vigilant, but this purple-haired badger did not seem to notice Lin Muyu's arrival. Lin Muyu's spirit sense had already locked onto this purple-haired badger. There were a total of 9 silver lines on the badger's head, and it was obvious that this was a 900-year-old purple-haired badger, which was roughly equivalent to the strength of a level 35 War Master. Taking this purple-haired badger's spirit stone to hand in a mission should allow him to obtain quite a bit of contribution points. Shwa. He took out a little magic noise blade from the blade pouch at his waist, aimed in the direction of the purple-haired badger, and suddenly attacked. Immediately, the little magic noise blade attacked with a sharp whistle. Phew! The purple-haired badger suddenly raised its head, alerted to the approaching danger, and hurriedly rolled into the snow. With a pu sound, the little magic noise blade left a bloody hole on its hind hooves, and the purple-haired badger immediately roared and ran, but it did not run fast. On the contrary, Lin Muyu used falling star steps to quickly rush forward, and when he was about 40 meters away from his martial spirit's effective attack range, he immediately raised his arm, and with a rustling sound, green vines pierced through the snow, directly binding the purple-haired badger tightly. Without giving it too much pain, Lin Muyu opened his palm, and pure white dough qi whizzed out. With a pung sound, his palm landed on the head of the purple-haired badger. The strength was just right, and the purple-haired badger was directly slapped to death, but its fur and body were not damaged. Bending down, Lin Muyu lifted the purple-haired badger's corpse. It weighed about 50 kilograms, and it was quite heavy. He dragged it across the grass, took out a rope, and swiftly tied the purple-haired badger's corpse to the horse's butt. This warhorse was bought for 10 gold coins, and its physical strength and endurance were considered high, so carrying 50 kilograms was a piece. The purple-haired badger's corpse was still soaked in blood, so Lin Muyu did not plan to throw it into the heaven-earth pouch. It was too dirty, and it would be bad if it dirted those precious diamond coins. Seeing that it was still early, and there was still some time before noon, it would be boring to go back early. It would be so lonely to follow a group of rookies and wanderers, so he led the horse and continued advancing into the dragon-seeking forest. As this place was already some distance away from Lanyan City, there were no imperial soldiers guarding this part of the dragon-seeking forest. Moreover, spirit beasts that were more than 1,000 years old often appeared here, and ordinary soldiers were not a match for them at all. Sending people to guard here was simply sending them to their deaths. Ordinary soldiers could only deal with spirit beasts that were less than 500 years old. Lin Muyu slowly spread her spiritual sense, and suddenly, a wave of energy rippled in front of her. Hurriedly, Lin Muyu leaped onto the horse and chased after it. Sure enough, another prey appeared as far as her eyes could see. It was a silver fox, and there was a gold pattern and a silver pattern on its forehead. It had lived for 1,100 years. The silver fox seemed to have also sensed Lin Muyu's power, and it sprinted in the forest. Chase after it. Lin Muyu whipped the horse and galloped away. How could the silver fox's speed compare to that of a fine horse? In the blink of an eye, it was about to be caught up. Lin Muyu raised her hand and used the same trick as before. The little magic noise blade turned into a cold light as it attacked. Whoosh! The silver fox also heard this sound, and it actually stopped in its tracks in a hurry. With a shrill cry, frost energy appeared around its body, condensing into a shield in the blink of an eye. This was actually a silver fox that had an energy shield. Unfortunately, this silver fox that had only lived for 1,100 years had underestimated Lin Muyu's strength. The little magic noise blade tore through its shield like it was crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood. With a poochie sound, a gash appeared on its neck, and fresh blood flowed out. GG. Feeling the pain, the silver fox gave up on its counterattack and hurriedly turned around and charged into the distant sea of snow. Its body was as white as snow, almost the same color as the sea of snow, but it still could not escape Lin Muyu's eyes. Or perhaps it could be said that it could not escape Lin Muyu's spiritual perception. Spirit beasts did not know how to suppress their auras, so their energy waves were very stable. Under the detection of the spirit pulse technique, they naturally could not hide. Hiya! Lin Muyu continued to whip the horse and gave chase. She raised her hand, and a bolt of lightning energy appeared in her palm. She retrieved the little magic noise blade that had been stabbed into the snow and held it in her hand, waiting for the next opportunity to attack. It was also at this time that the silver fox cried out and jumped down a small hill. Lin Muyu was immediately stunned. Damn, so naughty. However, just as Lin Muyu reached the top of the hill, she heard a human voice. Little Nail, be careful. It's a 1,100-year-old silver fox. Uncle Wang, what should we do? Arrow, shoot it to death. Puff, puff, puff. After the sound of arrows being released, there was another GG sound. The poor silver fox was killed just like that. When Lin Muyu appeared on the hillside, she saw a few lone warriors from the Hall of Chivalry surrounding the silver fox. The person called Uncle Wang had a slightly strong aura, and his cultivation base was about level 12. He grinned and said, "It's a wounded silver fox. No wonder it was easily killed by us. Fortunately, its wound and arrow wound were on its neck, so it won't damage the value of its fur. Great, a 1,100-year-old silver fox's fur can be sold for at least 50 Jining coins in Lanyan City." Little Nail was so excited that he rubbed his hands on the side. There were also 3 other loose warriors with green badges on their chests that were identical to Lin Muyu's. They all held swords and sabers in their hands. Rather than calling them loose warriors, it would be better to say that this group of people looked more like hunting tigers. Lin Muyu took a deep breath and said faintly, "Wang Tianfu, are you going to take this silver fox to the headquarters to receive the reward?" Only then did the team of 5 notice the existence of Lin Muyu. Each of their faces showed a flash of surprise. Wang Tianfu carried the silver fox's corpse in his hand, looked up and said faintly, "You are the newly joined loose warrior, Lin Yan? Did you injure this silver fox?" Wang Tianfu asked. Lin Muyu raised the little magic knife in her hand and said, "Yes, answer my question. Are you going to take this silver fox and use its spirit stones to receive the reward?" Wang Tianfu's face showed a trace of hesitation. After thinking for a few seconds, he said, "So what if it is? Although this silver fox was wounded by you, it was killed by the few of us. It should be ours. Is that so?" Lin Muyu raised her eyebrows and said, "I advise you not to take this silver fox to the headquarters to receive the reward. This is for your own good." But Wang Tianfu sneered and said, "Are you jealous that we are about to be promoted, so you want us to return the silver fox to you? Let me tell you, stop dreaming." Lin Muyu could not help but laugh. "You ask me why? Let me tell you, the reason is very simple. The strength of you and this silver fox do not match. If you take the silver fox to the headquarters, even if your ranger rank is improved, your strength will not be improved. You will bring disaster to yourselves in vain. It is not too late to return the silver fox to me now." Little Nail shouted at the hillside with all his strength, "No. We will not return it. It was not easy for us to hunt this silver fox. Why should we return it to you? We will not return it." Lin Muyu furrowed her brows. If she was like those cultivators, she would probably kill these unaffiliated warriors without hesitation, right? In fact, in the House of Chivalry, it was very common to kill each other for treasures. Looking at the group of ragged wandering heroes, Lin Muyu sighed. She reached into her cosmos sack and took out a diamond coin, saying, "How about this? I'll use a diamond coin to exchange for this silver fox's corpse. Is that okay?" Little Nail was stunned. 1,000 Jining coins. Who knows whether your diamond coin is fake or not? Wang Tianfu said with anger in his eyes, If you want this silver fox, come and get it yourself. Don't fool us with fake diamond coins. Damn it. Lin Muyu was slightly angry. He raised his hand to pull out half of the burning prairie sword, but at this moment he suddenly stopped moving. After a few seconds of silence, he sheathed the long sword with a clang, grabbed the reins, turned around and walked away, saying, "You're on your own. I've been very kind to you." He looked at the snow and went back without looking back. He still remembered the word "ing" hanging high on the main altar of the House of Chivalry. Unfortunately, the people of the House of Chivalry did not seem to understand what it meant. Lin Muyu also understood that he was not a living Buddha and could not save all living beings. Some people, if Buddha did not save them, demons would save themselves. Along the way, he found a 500-year-old wild boar. After killing it and cutting its head, he found that it had not condensed any spirit stones. He had no choice but to drag the wild boar's body, which weighed at least 400 kilograms, back to the House of Chivalry. He only arrived at the House of Chivalry at noon. The sun was high up in the sky, and the ice and snow were melting rapidly. It was too difficult to hunt spirit beasts in the snow, and many spirit beasts simply did not come out. When they saw Lin Muyu dragging the bodies of the two spirit beasts back to the mountain, a few guards were shocked. Then they laughed mockingly and said, "Yo, this new rogue is quite capable. A 900-year-old purple-haired badger and a 500-year-old wild boar. He can at least be promoted to an Iron Honorable Ranger. Congratulations, kid." Lin Muyu responded with a smile, and continued to work hard to drag the bodies of the spirit beasts up the mountain. At noon, some of the rangers guarding the main altar had already begun to eat. The higher-ranked ones ate in the hall, while the lower-ranked ones could only eat porridge and bread in the cold wind. Rogue Lin Yen has returned to the mountain. A loud silver honorable ranger shouted at the top of his lungs, "Spoils of war, one 900-year-old purple-haired badger, one 500-year-old wild boar." Ji Yang, who was drinking in the main altar, could not help but look up and said with a smile, "The new rogue who joined this year is not bad, there's such a good seedling." Luo Yu put down his wine cup and said respectfully, "Grand Wandering Ambassador, should I go take a look? If it's true, what rank should I give him?" "If it's true," Ji Yang's eyes flashed, and he said with a smile, "then give him a silver honorable ranger. We're short on people now, and the main altar needs more fresh blood. This kid is at least Earth Realm, he's more than enough to be a silver honorable ranger." Chapter 146. Luo Yu held a crimson crystal in her hands as she slowly walked out of the headquarters. Her gaze fell upon the crowd as she said, "Where is Lin Yen who has returned to the mountain? Bring the prey over for me to see." Lin Muyu immediately dragged the corpses of the two spirit beasts over and placed them side by side on the ground. She said, "Luo Yu, you chess user, everything is here. Is this really what you hunted?" Luo Yu asked indifferently. "Good." Luo Yu slowly handed the crystal over and said, "Use all your strength to concentrate on this crystal. I want to see your strength." Lin Muyu did not say a word as he stepped forward and placed his palm on the crystal. He muttered to himself as he slowly released about 10% of his inner force into the crystal. He was no longer able to condense true energy because of the changes in his body. All the energy he could muster was true energy. However, through the Forging Dragon Bone Remnant Scroll, he could convert his fighting energy into true dragon primary fire, which was also a type of inner force. From the outside, it looked like it belonged to true energy. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The crimson crystal began to shine brightly. Under the influence of his inner force, it refracted 4 long and 3 short rays of light. It trembled slowly. Lin Muyu controlled his strength perfectly and maintained a balance. Luo Yu raised her eyebrows as her eyes revealed a hint of surprise. She said, "You're actually a level 43 warlord. Not simple. Alright, the test is over. Lin Yen, are you really willing to work for the House of Chivalry?" Lin Muyu was a smart person. She smiled and said, "That depends on what the House of Chivalry can give me." Luo Yu could not help but laugh. "As long as you are willing to work for the House of Chivalry, riches and honor will not be a problem. You might even be conferred the title of Marquis in the future. Now, as a U-chess user, I will bestow upon you the title of Silver Warlord. I hope that you will do your best to work for the House of Chivalry and always remember the principles of the House of Chivalry. Alright, come with me to meet the great U-chess user. Lin Muyu strode into the headquarters. The flames swayed gently on the surrounding walls. The Grand Chess Envoy Ji Yang and the other Grand Chess Envoy Li Qinshuan were both there. There were also a dozen maids dancing on the stage in the center of the headquarters. It was winter, but they wore very few clothes. They only had white cloth wrapped around their private parts, and the rest of their bodies were covered with light muslin. Their delicate bodies were partly hidden, and there was an indescribably hazy beauty about them. However, Lin Muyu didn't have the time to appreciate it. He just frowned slightly. He was thinking about this kind of cold weather where even he couldn't help but shiver. It was a cruel torture for these maidservants to dance here. He looked up and saw Ji Yang, the Grand Travel Ambassador, sitting on the first throne. Above his head was a gold-plated character, Lin Yan. The corner of Ji Yang's mouth curled up, and he suddenly asked fiercely, "Who are you?" Lin Muyu's heart sank, but he didn't show it on his face. He said, "Grand Travel Ambassador, I am a mercenary in the Cyan Sparrow mercenary troop. However, I was suspected by the deputy commander, so I was kicked out of the mercenary troop. As for my background, I was born in a family of hunters in the forest on the outskirts of Lanyan City. Why are you suspecting Lin Yan? If that's the case, Lin Yan will immediately leave the mountain and not disturb the House of Chivalry." Every word he said was sonorous and fearless. Ji Yang couldn't help but stand up. He laughed and said, "Good boy, I like your courage. But since you have decided to join the House of Chivalry, you are our brother. You need to swear that you will never break the Chivalry Covenant. How about that?" Lin Muyu smiled secretly. Anyway, he was using the name Lin Yan now. His brother was in another plane, so he probably wouldn't break the covenant. It didn't matter if he broke the covenant, because he was Lin Ji, not Lin Yan. "Okay, recite the covenant after me." Ji Yang stood tall and closed his eyes. His face was full of piety. He said in a trembling voice, "Being benevolent, all living beings are equal. The 100 Ridge Covenant, the covenant of life and death. Under the sky, the feudal lords swear a blood oath. Above the land, the king will kill." Although Lin Muyu didn't understand, he recited it anyway. "Being benevolent, all living beings are equal. The 100 Ridge Covenant, the covenant of life and death. Under the sky, the feudal lords swear a blood oath. Above the land, the king will kill." Beside him, Luo Yu clapped her hands and said with a smile, "Okay, Lord Lin Yan is now a silver venerable ranger of the House of Chivalry. He has entered the upper levels of the House of Chivalry. As long as he completes a decapitation mission, he can join the House of Chivalry as a Jin Zun Ranger." "A decapitation mission?" Lin Muyu was stunned. Ji Yang nodded. "Yes, to become a Jin Zun Ranger, he must kill one of our enemy's leaders. Otherwise, he won't be able to express his sincerity. Envoy Luo Yu, what kind of mission do you think is suitable for Lin Yan?" Luo Yu thought for a while and said, "There is a mountain north of the House of Chivalry. It has always been occupied by a group of mercenaries. This group of mercenaries has always been enemies with the House of Chivalry, and they have been sending people down the mountain to plunder. This has caused the people in the villages near the mountain to complain. I think, why don't we start with the mercenaries on the mountain?" Ji Yang frowned. "The mountain is the territory of the Tianjing mercenary group, right? Lin Yan has just joined the House of Chivalry. If we send him to the mountain to carry out an assassination mission, it seems a little inappropriate. As far as I know, the leaders of the Tianjing mercenary group all have the strength of the third sky of the Earth realm. It is easy for Lin Yan to go up the mountain, but it will be difficult for him to go down the mountain alive." Luo Yu smiled and said, "There is no need to go up the mountain. I have already investigated. Tomorrow afternoon, the Tianjing mercenary group will go down the mountain to patrol. They plan to loot the people of Blue Lake Town. The third leader of the Tianjing mercenary group, Nye Yen, will personally lead the people down the mountain. Li Qianxuan and Envoy Yue will accompany them. If anything happens, we can help immediately. Jiang could not help but smile. Good, that's great. Lin Yan, do you agree? Lin Muyu secretly clenched her fists, secretly cursing Jiang for being a bastard. Nie Yen had clearly reached the third sky of the Earth realm, much stronger than the second sky of the Earth realm that she had revealed. Jiang was clearly sending her to her death. The House of Chivalry was indeed a ruthless place. Anyone who wanted to climb up to the position of a Jinzun Ranger had to pay the price in blood. However, in order to complete Emperor Qin Jin's mission, he had to take the risk. He also had to put on a good show. Yes, as you wish. He cupped his fists and expressed his attitude. Li Qianxuan laughed loudly. That's great. Have a good rest today. We will set off after midnight. We will lie in ambush in Blue Lake Town and wait for the hare. Okay. In the afternoon, Lin Muyu was arranged to stay in a new room. It was the living quarters of a silver elder ranger. The room had white walls and black tiles, and it looked very spacious inside. With nothing to do, he closed the door and cultivated the remnant scroll of the Forging Dragon Bone Scroll. After completing 72 circulations, he felt a sense of comfort all over his body, and the battle energy in his blood surged. At this moment, there was a knock on the door, and a woman's voice sounded. Lord Lin Yan, I am here to serve you. Please open the door. Lin Muyu was stunned. He remembered what Long Yen had said before. Silver Elder Rangers had the right to be served by a maid once every 3 days. It seemed that he had just become a Silver Elder Ranger today, and he had gotten a chance. No need. I don't need it for now. He flatly refused, not because of anything else, but because the maids in the House of Chivalry were ravaged by countless men every day. On the one hand, he was unwilling to do it, and on the other hand, it was dirty. Who would have thought that the maid outside would not let him go? She pushed the door open and stood outside seductively. She smiled and said, Lord Lin Yan, what are you talking about? How can there be a man who doesn't want a woman? This woman was wearing a light yellow silk dress, but her weight was really shocking. She was at least 150 kilograms, and her face was full of muscles. Lin Muyu counted a total of 4 chins, and the muscles all over her body were jiggling as she walked. Such a heavy taste was really not something an ordinary person could bear. Damn it, Lin Muyu cursed in his heart. Jiang, this old fox, did he send such a beauty to disgust me? Even if he had doubts about me, he should not use such a dirty honey trap. There was no chance of success at all. A million curses ran through his heart. He turned his face away, unable to look at the maid in front of him. He said, Hurry up and leave, or else don't blame my sword for being merciless. Clang. The burning prairie sword was halfway out of its sheath. Raging flames surrounded the blade, and it was filled with killing intent. The maid pouted coquettishly and said, Seeing how handsome you are, I thought you were a romantic and elegant person. I didn't expect you to be such an unromantic idiot. Fine, it's you who doesn't want it. She angrily slammed the door and left. Lin Muyu also let out a sigh of relief. At least he had escaped a disaster. In the evening, someone knocked on the door again. It was Luo Yu's voice. Lord Lin Yan, are you resting? I am Luo Yu. No, please come in, Lord Yu. Lin Muyu got up and sat on the edge of the bed. She watched as Luo Yu pushed open the door and entered. The cold wind blew in, causing the oil lamp to flicker. Lin Muyu smiled slightly. What brings Lord Yu to my place? Luo Yu also smiled and sat on a low stool. I'm here to deliver something to you. What is it? Luo Yu reached out and took an item wrapped in black cloth. He opened it layer by layer, revealing a crossbow with a metallic luster. He smiled and said, This is a weapon brought from the west to the Middle Earth. It is called the Black Iron Crossbow. It is extremely powerful, and I've prepared some arrows. They have all been dipped in poison. You will be facing a strong enemy tomorrow. Perhaps this black iron crossbow will be of help. Lin Muyu took the black iron crossbow and said, Thank you, Luo Yu. Is this what the great Yue wants? Luo Yu laughed bitterly and shook his head. No, this is just Luo Yu's own intentions. Lord Lin Yan, you are a young talent. You should not take such a risk. Luo Yu does not want to see you die under Nie Yan's hands. Lin Muyu couldn't help but feel warmth in her heart. Although the House of Chivalry had a bad atmosphere, there was still a glimmer of hope with someone as loyal as Luo Yu. Chapter 147. After midnight, the warhorses snorted in the evening wind. Lin Muyu had obtained a set of silver exalted ranger armor, which was made of black iron. Although the level of sophistication was far from being comparable to the Holy Sanctum battle robe, it could still add some defense, so she would not be sliced in half by the enemy's blade. Of course, Lin Muyu was not worried about this. The two Yuzichen agents, Luo Yu and Li Qinshuan, mounted their horses, raised their weapons, and said in a low voice, "Let's go when we're ready. We don't have much time, let's not waste any more time." Everyone mounted their horses. In fact, other than Lin Muyu, there were also 3 Jinzun Rangers, 14 Silver Exalted Rangers, and more than 500 venerables and unaffiliated warriors participating. From the looks of it, it was not an assassination at all, but more like a decisive battle. Lin Muyu tied the burning prairie sword firmly behind her and tightened the rope. Her eyes fell on the night sky, the cold wind blowing on her skin. It was a really uncomfortable feeling. "Let's go," Li Qinshuan ordered, and everyone spurred their horses down the mountain. A few Jinzun Rangers followed closely behind the Yuzichen agents, as if they did not care about a new Silver Exalted Ranger like Lin Muyu, or rather, in their eyes, Lin Muyu was already a dead person. Among the 3 Jinzun Rangers, only Long Yen saw Lin Muyu in a different light. He spurred his horse forward and rode side by side with her, laughing, "Lin Yen, I didn't expect you to be promoted to a Silver Exalted Ranger so quickly, but you must be careful on this mission. Nie Yan's dragon-slaying palm is famous far and wide, it's powerful and unparalleled, you must live a little longer." The corner of Lin Muyu's mouth rose. "Thank you for your concern, Lord Long Yen, I will live." But Long Yan's face was full of disbelief, and he laughed. "All right then, I also hope that you can live a little longer." The Rangers galloped for about 4 hours, and arrived at their destination before sunrise, Blue Lake Town. This town was formed around a blue lake, with houses scattered around the lake. At a glance, there were about 200 households, with a total population of between 1,000 to 2,000 people. "Lord Long Yen, why did the Tianjing mercenary group choose this village? It doesn't seem to have much profit." Lin Muyu asked with a smile. Long Yen narrowed his eyes and said, "You don't understand. The people of Blue Lake Town rely on fishing and hunting for a living, but the nearby mountains are rich in rare minerals. Even Millennium Dark Steel can be dug out, so the blacksmith shops in Blue Lake Town are overflowing with oil and—" Long Yen wiped the corner of his mouth. His eyes were full of lust as he smiled and said, "The women of Blue Lake Town live by water. They are especially beautiful, but the women of Lanyan City can't be compared to them. Those wandering mercenaries are all hot-blooded. Who doesn't need women?" Nie Yen chose this place to plunder, mostly for the women. Women between the ages of 15 to 30 are treasures to them. Lin Muyu took a deep breath, her heart filled with helplessness. This barbaric world. They did not enter the village. Luo Yu led them directly into the dense forest at the side, and said in a low voice, "Everyone, lie in ambush. No one is allowed to make a sound. Intercept and kill the people of the Tianjing mercenary group before they enter the village. Lord Lin Yan is responsible for assassinating Nie Yen." Li Qinshuan waved her hand and said, "Envoy Luo Yu is wrong. In my opinion, we should attack after the Tianjing mercenary group enters the village to plunder." Luo Yu was surprised. Li Qinshuan laughed. "It's very simple. They will only let down their guard after plundering. We attack after these greedy wandering mercenaries have plundered the village. Only then can we convict them, and only then can we show the true character of the House of Chivalry, which is benevolent and righteous. Isn't that right, Envoy Luo Yu?" Envoy Li Qinshuan is right? Luo Yu was stunned, but he could only nod his head obediently. Under the moonlight, a trace of hatred flashed across his eyes. But it did not escape Lin Muyu's eyes. It turned out that the two great envoy Li Qianxuan did not get along well with each other. Lying in the snow, Lin Muyu secretly sneered. Allowing the people to be slaughtered, and then attacking, this was indeed benevolent. The House of Chivalry was even more hypocritical than the wandering mercenaries. Not long after, the sun rose, but there was still no sign of the mercenary group. Some of the rogue heroes and venerables looked impatient, and some of them had even taken out dried meat strips and were wolfing them down. Lin Muyu was still sitting in the snow, like a statue of a general. He did not move an inch, and his aura was at its lowest. He looked into the distance with a deep gaze, not saying a word, and not showing any signs of impatience. Luo Yu looked at him and could not help but show a look of approval. It was noon, and finally, the sound of galloping horses could be heard from afar. They were here. Patches of red appeared in the snow in the forest. It was the mercenary group's flag. The Tianjing mercenary group used a blood-red flag. The sound of galloping horses did not stop, and a pure cavalry formation appeared in everyone's field of vision. Moreover, there were more and more of them, as if they were covering the sky and the earth. This, Luo Yu frowned and said, at least 1,000 people have come, which is more than what we expected. We only brought about 600 people. I think we should cancel this operation. Li Qianxuan waved her hand and said, no, since we're here, we shouldn't retreat so easily. Wait until they enter the village and start a massacre, and after they scatter the formation, we'll kill our way over and defeat them. Luo Yu gritted his teeth and said, yes. Lin Muyu was secretly puzzled. They were both envoy Li Qianxuan, but why did Luo Yu always listen to Li Qianxuan's words? Perhaps finding the answer would be greatly beneficial to her. Whistles echoed in the distance, and the people from the Tianjing mercenary group killed their way into the village. Very soon, the sounds of fighting and cries could be heard. Not only did they plunder, but they also set fires. The periphery of the village seemed to be on fire, and Blue Lake Town was soon covered in flames. Lin Muyu gripped the burning prairie sword tightly, and her killing intent was clear. No matter what the mission was this time, just the actions of a group of mercenaries were enough to kill them. Get on the horses! Li Qianxuan shouted. Prepare to attack. No one is allowed to retreat, and those who cower will be killed. Everyone got on the horses, and with a swoosh, the flags of the House of Chivalry fluttered. If she did not know the evil behind it, perhaps Lin Muyu would really think that this was a battle for justice. Li Qianxuan held her spear and said, Lord Lin Yan, you're the executor of this assassination mission, so you'll be the vanguard. Charge! Lin Muyu frowned and spurred her horse forward. As expected, the real purpose of this mission was probably to be cannon fodder, right? Lin Yan, be careful. Luo Yu's voice came from behind, and it made Lin Muyu feel a sense of comfort. The horses galloped on the snowy ground, and in the blink of an eye, they had entered the village. However, the scene that greeted their eyes was a little too horrible to look at. The long bridge into the town was full of corpses, and they were all militia. The weapons in their hands were only crude weapons like harpoons, so how could they be a match for the fully armored mercenaries? A woman's heart-wrenching scream came from a house at the side. Lin Muyu did not stop. She pulled out the burning prairie sword and rushed forward. With a slight shake of the blade, a sword aura condensed by the true dragon's primary fire fell among the attacking mercenaries. Instantly, 3 mercenaries were cut in half at the waist, and their blood splattered on the ground. The warhorse neighed. Lin Muyu did not stop for a moment, and continued to kill into the town. It's the people from the House of Chivalry. Stop that guy. Archers, shoot him to death. A mercenary leader shouted. Seeing that she had already left the sight of the group of rangers, Lin Muyu quickly spurred her horse forward. She opened her palm slightly, and the green gourd martial soul was activated. The mystic tortoise shell and dragon scale wall were successfully activated, and she and her warhorse were not hurt as she rushed forward. In the distance, under the battle flag of the Tianjing mercenaries, a martial artist holding a long saber stood there, and there was a golden badge on his collar. It was the third leader, Nie Yan. Bastard! Nie Yan saw that Lin Muyu was killing his own people, and he could not care so much anymore. He spurred his horse and rushed over. The saber was full of strong true qi, and with a sharp whistling sound, it slashed toward Lin Muyu's head. Lin Muyu had made up her mind to kill. She released her palm, and the burning prairie sword swept forward with lightning. With a dang sound, it forcibly shook off Nian's slash. At the same time, the dou qi in her palm was dense, and the stars of the common people condensed around her palm. With a roar, she blasted out. Chaos of the common people. Nian was also stunned. Dou qi? Heaven realm. His long saber had been shaken off, and he hurriedly pushed his palms out and shouted, "Polar dragon slaying." There was a faint sound of a dragon's roar, and this dragon-slaying palm seemed to be really good. However, the disparity in strength was too great. How could a third-rate martial art like the dragon-slaying palm be compared to the chaos of the common people? With a pung sound, the dragon-slaying palm was instantly swallowed and disintegrated by the 7 luminaries' Xian energy. The bones in Nian's palm were all shattered, and he and his horse quickly fell back. Without waiting for him to have a chance to turn around, Lin Muyu condensed her left hand into a finger and suddenly waved it with lightning. Violent thunder wave. Blood splashed out, and the burning prairie sword penetrated Nian's chest, nailing straight into the wall behind him. Blood gushed out of Nian's mouth, and his eyes were full of unwillingness and disbelief. He did not want to believe that he would die here, and even more could not believe that he would die so easily, and in the hands of a nobody. Kacha! Lin Muyu called back the long sword, directly cut off Nian's head, and raised it high. At the same time, she withdrew her dou qi and the wall of the gourd and shouted, "Nian has been beheaded, do you still want to resist? Put down your weapons and maybe I will spare your lives." The group of mercenaries was stunned, and many of them put down their weapons. It was a nightmare for them to be enemies with a heaven realm expert. At this time, Li Qianxuan, Luo Yu, and the other rangers also rushed in. Before the mercenaries could react, Li Qianxuan directly ordered, Kill them all for me." Cruel. Lin Muyu stood at the side with Nian's head in her hand and witnessed the massacre. Less than 30% of the 1,000-plus mercenaries from the Tianjing mercenary group escaped from Blue Lake Town, and the rest were killed by the sword. Retribution. Chapter 148. Erect their heads. Li Qianxuan said coldly. Immediately, a group of rogue warriors erected sharp wooden stakes in the small town, and the heads of nearly 1,000 mercenaries were chopped off and impaled on the stakes. The village was filled with a strong smell of blood. Lin Muyu glanced at the rows of heads, and he could not help but feel a chill in his heart. Although he had been in this world for a long time and gradually got used to the cruelty and killing here, a group of people who were alive and well before had now become cold corpses. The eyes of the heads were round and wide, and it was really terrifying. At this moment, the white-haired and bearded village chief appeared in front of Li Qianxuan and the others under the escort of a few rogue warriors. He cupped his fists and said, "I'm the Li Jing, Lord of Blue Lake Town." "Shut up." Li Qianxuan interrupted him with a cold voice and asked, "How much pure iron do you have in the blacksmith shop of Blue Lake Town? Take them out, or don't blame me for being rude." The Li Zheng's face was livid. "Sir, the House of Chivalry is here to serve justice, and the thousands of villagers in Blue Lake Town are relying on these pure iron to survive. Please let us go, sir. Cut the crap." Li Qianxuan stepped forward and kicked the Li Zheng, raising her eyebrows, and said, "Gather all the young women in this town quickly." Lin Muyu hurriedly asked, "Sir, why do we gather their women?" Li Qianxuan said lightly, "The House of Chivalry needs young women, be it maids or servants. We don't have enough money to buy them from the female slave market, so we can only select from this town." But this is not a selection. This is a primitive and despicable invasion. "Lin Yan." Li Qianxuan's eyes turned cold, and she shouted in a low voice, "Don't forget your own identity. You are a silver venerable warrior of the House of Chivalry, and you also need women. I am working for the House of Chivalry. Why are you obstructing me? Do you want to be the enemy of the House of Chivalry?" Lin Muyu clenched his fists, and a faint true inner force lingered around his fists. Luo Yu could tell that something was amiss. She hurriedly cupped her fists and said, "Sir Envoy Liu, Lin Yan has already killed Nye Yan. Logically speaking, his achievements are enough for him to be ranked as a golden exalt wanderer. I hope that Sir can forgive his slip of the tongue." Li Qinshuan smiled coldly and said, "Lord Lin Yan, I hope you understand what you are doing. You are about to become a golden venerable wanderer, so you should not have said such ridiculous things. The mate system has always been a rule of the House of Chivalry. If there are no beautiful women as rewards, how many people do you think will be willing to work for the House of Chivalry?" Lin Muyu remained silent, but his fists were still clenched, and his veins were bulging. He looked like he would explode at any moment. Long Yen patted his shoulder and laughed. "Lord Lin Yen, there was a time when we all had a dream. We thought that we would be able to be chivalrous and travel the world. But the truth is not so. We need money and women to travel the world. We are mortals after all and cannot escape death. So why not enjoy life while we can?" Luo Yu looked at Lin Muyu, and a look that he could not bear flashed across his eyes. Lin Muyu slowly unclenched his fists and said lightly, "Li Qinshuan, you are right. I have no objections." "Ah, that's right." Li Qinshuan raised his eyebrows and laughed. "In this world, only the strong are respected. Whoever has the hardest fist can enjoy Jinin coins and women. The House of Chivalry can shelter you, but naturally, we need you to be loyal to us. Do you understand?" "Yes." Lin Muyu cupped his fists and leaped onto his horse. He stood there alone and closed his eyes. His long eyelashes trembled slightly, and he could not bear to watch or listen to everything that was happening in front of him. The cries of young girls filled the air. There were about 200 young women in Blue Lake Town, and all of them were shackled and chased by the rangers to the House of Chivalry. It was only then that Lin Muyu realized that the shackles were not prepared for the mercenaries, but for the young women. Li Qinshuan did not intend to let the mercenaries live from the beginning. Lin Muyu rode his horse slowly at the back of the group. He had mixed feelings. He did not know if what he was doing was right or wrong, but he had no other choice. Every step he took in the shattered tripod realm was like walking in mud, and he could not escape. Just as Long Yen had said, he was a mortal, not a god. He could not control the world with one hand. The cries of young girls echoed in his ears. Lin Muyu looked up at the sky and could not help but let out a long sigh. It seemed like he could not change everything by himself, but what could he do? He looked at Li Qinshuan, who was in front of him, and clenched his fists again. He swore to himself that no matter what happened in the future, he would kill this person with his own hands. It was already evening when he returned to the headquarters of the House of Chivalry. Ji Yang, the Grand Tour Ambassador, had specially held a celebratory feast for everyone, but Lin Muyu did not taste the food at all. He did not even notice when Luo Yu put on the golden Jin Zun Ranger badge for him. He was in a daze, and the laughter of the venerables and rogue warriors could be heard from outside. After the banquet, he stepped out of the headquarters and saw Wang Tianfu from afar. At this time, Wang Tianfu was wearing a silver venerable ranger badge. It seemed that he had also been rewarded for the 1100-year silver fox spirit stones and had become a silver venerable ranger. Wang Tianfu also recognized Lin Muyu. He hurriedly cupped his fists and said respectfully, "Lord Lin Yan, you are already a Jin Zun." Lin Muyu nodded. "Didn't you also become a silver venerable ranger?" "Huh." Wang Tianfu was a little embarrassed. He said, "Lord Lin Yan must know how I became a silver venerable ranger. It was just a coincidence. Lord, on the other hand, became a Jin Zun ranger with his own ability. Everyone in the house is talking about the story of Lord killing Nye Yan." Lin Muyu was not in the mood to chat. He nodded and walked away. At this moment, there was a heart-wrenching scream of a girl coming from the house next to them. There was a group of girls waiting outside, and a few silver venerable rangers were waiting there with a smile on their faces. They were talking to each other. "Hey, it's my turn next. That little girl is so pretty." I'm in luck this time." Lin Muyu quickly walked over. His face was pale. "What are you doing?" A silver venerable ranger immediately cupped his fists and smiled. It's Lord Lin Yan. These are the spoils of war that we took from Blue Lake Town during the day. The brothers are having a feast for these virgin girls. If Lord Lin Yan is interested, we will reserve the most beautiful one for you. How about it? Lin Muyu frowned and said, No need. The silver venerable ranger immediately rubbed his chin and smiled. Are you sure you don't want them? Then I will take your share. Thank you for your reward, Lin Muyu suddenly felt a pain in his heart. Yes, even if he did not want them, those girls would still not be able to escape their fate. He gritted his teeth and said, Then, I want 3 girls. Send them directly to my room. Okay, send someone to send them immediately. I guarantee that they are all unopened. The silver venerable ranger's face was full of flattery. Lin Muyu was disgusted. He took his sword and walked away. But his ears were filled with the screams of the girls in the houses on both sides. He hurriedly covered his ears and left the place as if he was fleeing. Linji, oh Linji, since when can you tolerate this? He kept blaming himself in his heart. His face was pale. He rushed all the way to the mountainside. Finally, he could no longer hear the screams of the girls. His legs gave way and he knelt under a rock wall. He knew that it was useless to blame himself. Even if he did not kill Nye Yen, with Li Qianxuan's strength, she could destroy this group of mercenaries. He was just a small chess piece. Full of anger, he turned over and went straight to the rock wall. He suddenly raised his arm and Do Chi circled around his fist. Bang! He punched the rock wall. Immediately, stone chips flew everywhere. At the same time, there was a sharp pain in his fist. After all, he was still a flesh and blood body. How could he go head-on with a hard rock? But he did not stop. He punched the rock again and again, as if this was the only way to relieve the pain in his heart. Not long after, his fists were a bloody mess. That's enough, Lin Yan. Suddenly, a voice came from behind. Lin Muyu could not help but be stunned. The person who came was so quiet that he did not notice. He turned around and saw that it was Luo Yu. Patter, patter. The blood on his fist kept dripping onto the grass. Seeing his injuries, Luo Yu couldn't help but knit her brows and said, Sir Lin Yan, this is the first time you've entered the Hall of Chivalry. This is a pain you must experience. I can understand this pain because I've experienced it myself. Lin Muyu's eyes were filled with murderous intent. His arms were surrounded by Do Chi. Luo Yu, as a tour envoy, why did you not stop Li Qianxuan? Luo Yu was shocked. He could feel Lin Muyu's anger. He also knew that Lin Yan was a heaven-state cultivator. It was not a joke that he could kill him in a few moves. But he did not panic. Luo Yu took a deep breath and said, Because I am a commoner, while Li Qianxuan is a noble. She is the cousin of Ji Yao, the lord of Shangyang City and one of the 13 uncles. Birth and bloodline again? Lin Muyu laughed coldly. Luo Yu gritted his teeth and said, Master Lin Yan, although you have entered the heaven state, I have to say that your strength is still below that of the great tour envoy Jiang. If you do not want to die, you have to obey. Luo Yu, have you never thought of changing all this? Lin Muyu looked at Luo Yu, his eyes filled with contempt and disdain. He did not hide his contempt for Luo Yu at all. Luo Yu gritted his teeth and met Lin Muyu's gaze. He felt as if his heart was being twisted by a knife. Ever since Lin Muyu entered the Hall of Chivalry, he had respected Lin Yan, whose strength was unfathomable. But now Lin Muyu was looking at him with such disdain. It made him feel extremely uncomfortable. My strength is not enough to change everything. After a while, Luo Yu said this plainly. Lin Muyu spread his arms and his Do Chi turned into true dragon primary fire. The murderous intent in his eyes intensified. Master Luo Yu, tell me, will you help me hide the secret of my strength? Luo Yu's eyes were filled with pride. Master Lin Yan, what kind of person do you think I am? If you don't trust me, you can kill me now. Lin Muyu was silent for a few seconds. Suddenly, the Do Chi in his arms dissipated and his murderous intent disappeared. He smiled and said, Master Luo Yu, you are a good person. I can't bear to kill you. Luo Yu smiled knowingly. Chapter 149. In the dead of night, Lin Muyu picked up the burning prairie sword and wrapped his fist in gauze. A huge rock had been smashed into powder by his fist. He had vented his anger and it was time to go back and rest. His living quarters had been changed to the courtyard that only the Jinzun Rangers had. Four wandering warriors were guarding outside the door. When they saw him, they immediately bowed respectfully. "Master Lin Yen, you're back. The delicacies have been prepared for you. They're in your room. There are 3 of them, and they're all beautiful girls." Lin Muyu nodded. "Got it." He pushed the door open, and with a squeak, he immediately heard some stuttering sounds. Following the dim light of the oil lamp, he saw 3 girls with their hands and feet tied and placed side by side on the bed. They were 3 beautiful girls. It seemed that Ji Yang had indeed bribed him, or he wouldn't have given him such a delicious meal. He walked to the bed and slowly sat down. Immediately, the face of the girl closest to him was filled with fear. After he removed the cloth from her mouth, the girl panicked and loudly begged, "Don't touch me, spare me, please, spare me." Lin Muyu shook his head, his face full of helplessness. "Don't worry, I won't touch you, but don't scream anymore. If you attract others here, I might not be able to protect you." The girl looked into Lin Muyu's eyes and nodded slightly. Lin Muyu untied the girl and then went to untie the second girl. However, just as she removed the cloth from the girl's mouth, the girl suddenly opened her mouth and bit Lin Muyu's palm. She refused to let go and looked at Lin Muyu with a pair of bright eyes full of hatred. However, Lin Muyu's body had been tempered, and this girl didn't have any cultivation. She couldn't bite Lin Muyu's skin at all. It only made him feel a little pain. Looking down at the tall girl, Lin Muyu smiled faintly and said, "Have you bitten enough? If you have, then let go. You should be tired." The young girl's eyes were filled with tears. The moment she let go of her hand, she tried to hit her head against Lin Muyu's arm. However, how could she do any harm to Lin Muyu? On the contrary, her arm was easily grabbed by Lin Muyu. Lin Muyu raised her finger and her do chi was dense. With a shwa shwa sound, the rope that was binding her was cut into pieces. Then, with a gentle push, she was pushed away. "Enough," he said indifferently. "I don't want to hurt you. You don't have to do this." "Sir, please don't blame Xiaoqin. Her parents were killed by the mercenaries in the morning. That's why she's like this. Please don't blame her." Lin Muyu nodded. "Well, don't worry. I won't hurt any of you." As he spoke, he untied the rope of the third girl. Looking at their tired expressions, he asked, "Are you hungry?" The girl called Xiaoqin shook her head stubbornly. The other 2 girls nodded. Lin Muyu couldn't help but smile. These girls must have not eaten or drunk anything since noon. Thinking about it, the people from the Hall of Chivalry were really bastards. They wanted to enjoy these girls, but they didn't even give them the most basic living conditions. They were really inhumane. And they even shouted the slogan, "Treat people with kindness." It was really hypocritical. Walking out of the door, he said to the few rogue warriors outside, "Help me get some food. Enough for 3 people." One of the rogue warriors nodded respectfully and smiled. "Sir, do you want to feed them before enjoying a good meal?" Sir Lin Yen is really a man who has tender feelings for women. Actually, Lin Muyu really wanted to slap him to death, but he held back and said, "Go quickly." Not long after, the rogue warrior returned with 3 bowls of meat soup and a few steamed buns. Lin Muyu took them and returned to her room. She closed the door and put the food on the table. She waved her hand and said, "Eat. Only when you're full will you have the energy to think about the future." The girl in red asked, "Sir, how do you want to deal with us?" "I won't kill you anyway." Lin Muyu looked at the changing expressions on their faces and smiled. "Of course, I won't touch a single hair of you. You don't have to worry." The girl in red said, "Sir Lin Yen, you don't have to make things difficult for yourself. Actually, the 3 of us know that after being taken into the Hall of Chivalry as maids, we are destined to serve different men. Hong Yu doesn't beg you to let us go. I only hope that you can keep us here and let us serve you." Another girl in yellow wiped her tears and said, "I heard that the Hall of Chivalry also robbed Black Rock Village before. Most of the women who were kidnapped died. Those rangers don't even treat women as human beings. On the contrary, Xiaoqin was the calmest. She said with an ashen face, since we can't escape death in the end, the process doesn't matter anymore. Lin Yan, do what you want to do to us. I don't care. Lin Yan couldn't help but smile. He raised his eyebrows and said, do what to do to you? Xiaoqin, do you think I'm the murderer who killed your parents? Do you think I want to do something to you so badly? Let me tell you, you don't have to talk to me like that. I'm not interested in you. You're not qualified. Xiaoqin was stunned. The pride that the Jinzun Ranger emitted made her deeply feel how small and laughable she was. At this moment, she realized that she might have been wrong. Sir Lin Yan? Xiaoqin wanted to change the way she addressed him, but she didn't know where to start. Lin Muyu waved her hand and said, don't say anything. Hurry up and eat. We'll talk after you're full. I'll find a chance to send the three of you out, but don't make it too obvious. Yes. The eyes of the three girls lit up with hope. Soon, the three of them were full. Lin Muyu sat on the recliner and took off her light armor. She took a deep breath and said, the three of you sleep on the bed. I'll sleep here. Remember, don't cry anymore. From now on, the three of you are my people. As long as you don't step out of this room, no one can hurt you. Do you understand? Yes, we remember. Sleep. Yes. Lying on the recliner, Lin Muyu thought about how to deal with these girls. If he left them in the headquarters, he would end up harming them. The group of hungry mercenaries outside stared at each of the maids. These three girls were considered to be above average, so it was only a matter of time before they were targeted. But if he sent them away, where could he send them? Moreover, how could he send them away? With a sigh, he felt tired and fell into a deep sleep. Not long after, Lin Muyu was already snoring softly. But under the light of the oil lamp, the three girls were still awake. 3 pairs of eyes stared at Lin Muyu. They were sure that this handsome ranger wouldn't do anything to them, but they were extremely nervous. They didn't know what to do, and they didn't know if they should trust the person in front of them. Xiaoqin gently picked up the knife on the table. Her eyes were filled with hatred as she walked barefoot towards Lin Muyu. Xiaoqin! Hong Yu called out softly and dodged the knife. She stared at Xiaoqin. Are you crazy? Sir Lin Yan clearly wants to protect us. What are you trying to do? Xiaoqin sneered. All the crows in the world are black. He's treating us so well just to make us feel that he's worth relying on. He wants us to serve him willingly. That's all. Hong Yu gritted her teeth. Xiaoqin, you're really stupid. Why would he do this? If he used force, none of us would be able to escape that fate. If you kill him now, not only will we not be able to escape, but we will also kill a good person. Xiaoqin trembled and stood there, not knowing what to do. Sleep? Hong Yu helped her to the bed. When the two of them lay down, they looked back and saw that Lin Muyu had opened her clear eyes and was looking straight at them without saying a word. My lord, Hong Yu shouted in panic. Lin Muyu smiled faintly and said, Don't worry, I don't blame you. I've seen everything that happened in Blue Lake Town today, but I had no choice. Saving the three of you was the best I could do. Thank you, sir. Sleep? Yes. The night passed. Early the next morning, someone knocked on the door and said respectfully, Sir Lin Yan, the great wandering ambassador invites you to the headquarters for a meeting. Please be there in half an hour. Okay, got it. Lin Muyu turned over and got up, putting on his armor. Before he left, he ordered a few rogue warriors who were guarding the room to send food to his room on time. After that, he washed up, ate a quick breakfast and went straight to the headquarters. He knew very well that he would not be a Jinzun Ranger for nothing. Ji Yang would definitely use him to do things for the Hall of Chivalry. On one hand, he could make use of him, and on the other hand, he could prove his loyalty. After entering the headquarters, he found Li Qianxuan, Luo Yu, and the other 4 Jinzun Rangers were all there. Sir Lin Yan, please take a seat. Long Yen raised his hands and bowed. There was already a seat for Lin Muyu here. It seemed that he had enough status in the House of Chivalry's imperial capital, but he was not close to the Grand Wandering Chess Envoy, Ji Yang. Okay, since everyone is here, let's discuss the attack on North Mountain today. Ji Yang said. Luo Yu cupped his fists and said, "Great wandering ambassador, the terrain of North Mountain is very steep. It is easy to defend and difficult to attack. The mercenaries guarding the mountain are also elites. It will not be easy to attack. I think we should take it slow." "No, we can't wait any longer." Ji Yang's eyes turned cold and said, "The Tianjing mercenary group has more than 5,000 people. They are a huge threat to us. Although they are just a bunch of unruly people, if we can take down these 5,000 people, think about it. In the Dragon Forest, which force would dare to go against the Hall of Chivalry? Even the 30,000 imperial guards guarding the capital would have to be wary of us." Li Qinshuan cupped his fists and said, "Great wandering ambassador, please let me lead the troops to attack North Mountain." Ji Yang shook his head and smiled. "No, in terms of attacking, Sir Luo Yu is more suitable. How about this? Luo Yu will lead the 3 Jinzun Rangers, Lin Yan, Long Yan, and Fang Xian, as well as 1,000 men to attack the mountain. If we can take down North Mountain, the credit will be greater than heaven." Luo Yu was silent for a few seconds, then cupped his fists and said, "Yes, sir." Chapter 150. On the square of the headquarters, a large group of venerables and rogue warriors got on their horses, ready to fight in the North Mountain. Lin Muyu held the burning prairie sword and led the horse, walking slowly in the crowd without saying a word. Long Yan held the battle axe and said casually, "Damn it. After all, we're not related by blood. Leave the hard work of attacking the mountain to us. Luo Yu, Yi, I think we can just pretend to attack. What do you think?" Luo Yu smiled faintly and didn't say anything. Not long after, more than 1,000 people went down the mountain, which was about half of the people in the headquarters. There were even a lot of carriages coming to deliver food. It seemed that Ji Yang wanted to take down the North Mountain, or he wouldn't come back. Lin Muyu rode slowly and glanced at the people behind him. This time, there was a UE, 3 Jinzun Rangers, 12 Silver Zun Rangers, 24 Bronze Zun Rangers, 91 Iron Zun Rangers, and 172 Venerables. At least 2/3 of the elites in the headquarters were here. Lin Muyu had seen the strength of the Tianjing mercenary group. In the mercenary group, there were only a few Earth Realm warriors, and most of them were just ordinary people with physical strength. Compared to them, the Tianjing mercenary group was indeed a motley crew. It wasn't impossible for Ji Yang to destroy the North Mountain with more than 1,000 rangers. Whoosh! Long Yan opened a map and looked at it carefully. "We'll arrive at the North Mountain in the afternoon. Should we attack the mountain immediately, or should we set up camp and rest for a while before attacking the mountain tomorrow?" Luo Yu's eyes glinted coldly. The Tianjing mercenary group is famous for being cruel and violent. Since we've brought more than half of the elites in the headquarters, don't hesitate and finish the battle quickly. "Yes." At noon, they took a break in the mountain. They drank some wine and ate some meat pies. Lin Muyu led the horse to the side of the road. The snow melted, and the withered grass under the snow was enough to provide food for the horse. But at this moment, he suddenly sensed a faint fluctuation from his spiritual pulse spell. He raised his eyebrows. About 2,000 meters to the north, a dense aura was fluctuating and moving. People were coming, and several of them were Earth Realm warriors between level 30 and 40. "Lord Luo Yu envoy." He turned around and said, "A few miles to the north, some people have come to ambush us. I don't know how many of them there are, but it seems like our whereabouts have been discovered. Prepare for battle." Luo Yu stood up and unsheathed the sword on her waist. She sneered, "The Tianjing mercenary group actually dared to give up the terrain to fight with us. They're simply courting death. Shield bearers, archers, get ready." Lin Muyu also took the bow from the horse's back and hung the quiver on her waist. It was time to show off her real archery skills. Not long after, the sound of hooves could be heard. A group of Tianjing mercenary group's cavalry had already rushed over. There were roughly 2,000 of them. Luo Yu couldn't help feeling a little surprised. She turned to look at Lin Muyu and said, "It's all thanks to Lord Lin Yan's foresight. How did you do it?" Lin Muyu smiled mysteriously. It's a private supreme art. Sorry, I can't tell you. Luo Yu laughed and didn't pursue the matter. At this time, the people of the Tianjing mercenary group in the distance had already drawn their swords or brandished their spears. They spurred their horses forward and shouted, "Break through their formation and crush them." Lin Muyu slowly exerted her strength and pulled the treasured carving bow into a full moon shape. A faint battle energy turned into true dragon primary fire and seeped into the arrow. She aimed at the cavalry at the front. It was a cultivator at the 3rd level of the human realm who was around level 25. With a swoosh, the sharp whistling sound of the arrow broke the silence and turned into a stream of light. Puchi. This arrow was infused with the true dragon primary fire of the heaven realm. Naturally, it wasn't something that a mere human realm cultivator could block. That person let out a miserable groan and fell off his horse. There was a huge bloody hole in his chest. "My archery skills are still not bad," Lin Muyu said proudly. She took out the second arrow and aimed at another mercenary. With a swoosh sound, she shot it out. However, the next moment, it hit a rock with a ding sound. The force was sufficient, but the accuracy was nearly 2 meters off. Long Yen couldn't help but laugh. He turned around to look at Lin Muyu and said, "Lord Lin Yan's archery skills are really not bad." This idiot actually dared to mock her. Lin Muyu grinned and continued to shoot until the 20-plus arrows in her quiver were all shot out. She had killed 7 or 8 people, but the cavalry of the mercenary group had already clashed with the scattered warriors in the front row. Both sides were injured. Clang! The burning prairie sword was unsheathed. She spurred her horse forward, and the true dragon primary fire turned into sword chi. With a swoosh swoosh sound, she slashed randomly in the crowd. No one could stop Lin Muyu's sharp sword. In the blink of an eye, she had killed 7 or 8 people. It seemed that killing people like this was more satisfying. However, she had to pay attention to 2 things at all times. She couldn't expose her battle chi or her martial soul. Thus, she kept a low profile when she killed people. On the other hand, Luo Yu, Long Yen, and Fang Exan, who were fighting in the crowd with their martial souls whistling. It was as if they were slaughtering people. Buzz! A cold light came from behind her. It was an attack from an Earth Realm expert spear. Lin Muyu dodged to the side. Immediately, an iron spear pierced through the air from under her armpit. The spear's light was awe-inspiring. The person holding the spear was a boorish man with a face full of scars. He wore a golden emblem on his chest and was around level 50. It was obvious that he was the leader of these 2,000 mercenaries. Lin Muyu moved her left arm and clamped the spear's shaft tightly. The burning prairie sword burst with the light of the true dragon primary fire. With a crack, the spear's shaft broke. Her left hand grabbed the leader's collar and forcefully pulled him off his horse. However, his body spun in the air and his battle boots kicked at a strange angle toward Lin Muyu's chest. Lin Muyu couldn't help but be stunned. These mercenaries were indeed fierce. She lowered her left arm slightly and blocked the mercenary leader's kick with a bang. Her right hand shone brightly as she activated 20% of her first element profound force. She concentrated it into the sword hilt and smashed it toward the back of the leader's head. Chaos of the first element. Bang! With a muffled groan, this Earth Realm Level 3 expert was knocked unconscious. Lin Muyu let go and threw him on the grass. She ordered, "Tie him up." However, Long Yen did not give way. He stepped forward and chopped down with his axe. Blood splattered everywhere, and the head of the fainted leader was chopped off. Long Yen raised it high and shouted, "Trash of the Tianjing mercenary group, your leader has already been beheaded. Do you still want to die together? Put down your weapons and I, Long Yen, will spare your lives." The mercenaries were dumbfounded. Their faces were filled with despair. The second leader died in battle? Lin Muyu was also stunned. So this guy was the second leader of the Tianjing mercenary group. No wonder he had the strength of level 50. However, his death was too humiliating. He was actually killed by the boorish man, Long Yen, while he was unconscious. Dang dang dang, blades and swords fell on the rubble. About 1,000 plus mercenaries gave up resisting. Facing an opponent that was far stronger than them, there was no point in resisting. Tie all of them up. Luo Yu raised his eyebrows and said, Lord Silver Supreme Lu Xiang, lead 100 brothers to escort these captives up the mountain. Those who are willing to join the House of Chivalry can stay. Those who are unwilling can be dealt with by the great chess envoy. Yes, Lord Chess Envoy. The battle came quickly and ended quickly. In the blink of an eye, 1,000+ mercenaries were tied up like dumplings. Their faces were filled with anger as they were pushed and shoved in the direction of the House of Chivalry's imperial capital headquarters. Long Yen walked over with his blood-stained battle axe. He looked at Lin Muyu in surprise and said, Lord Lin Yen, don't you only have the strength of the Earth Realm level 2? But the second leader of the Tianjing mercenary group is at the Earth Realm level 3. He didn't even last 3 moves before you knocked him out. Lin Muyu frowned and said, maybe he didn't rest well last night, so he's not in a good state? Long Yen couldn't help but laugh. But I heard that the 3 prettiest girls that we kidnapped from Blue Lake Town were sent to your room. Logically, the one who didn't rest well should be you, Lord Lin Yen. Lin Muyu smiled awkwardly and touched her nose. I'm a more restrained person unlike you. Long Yen held his battle axe and laughed until his whole body trembled. Lord Lin Yen is also an interesting person. Luo Yu said, let's go. Let's continue. Take advantage of this momentum and attack the mountain. In the afternoon, they arrived at the North Mountain. From afar, it was lush green, but it was indeed a place that was easy to defend and hard to attack. The north of the North Mountain was a steep cliff, and the east and west were also steep cliffs. Only the south was a mountain path, but there was a very steep part of the mountain halfway up. A simple stone fortress was built on top of it, heavily garrisoned. The 45-degree slope made it impossible for the cavalry to charge and attack. All Silver Elder Rangers, get ready. You will lead 200 people and attack the mountain in an hour. Luo Yu ordered loudly. Lin Muyu frowned and said, that's practically sending them to their deaths. Luo Yu smiled slightly. Don't worry, 3 Jinzun Rangers will move with me. We will climb up from the east and attack from the flank. Once we open the stone door, the Tianjing mercenary group's lair will be broken. Lin Muyu's expression turned cold. This Luo Yu looked gentle and quiet, but her mind was very meticulous. She might not be a god of troops, but she knew how to use the opponent's weakness to attack. She was a talented general. At this time, the Silver Elder Rangers were already charging up with their shields in hand. Many of them activated their chi armors to block the damage. On the fortress, arrows rained down, landing on the shields and chi armors. The advantage of being a high-level practitioner was fully demonstrated at this time. They were actually unafraid of the arrows. Use the rolling stones. A roar came from the fortress. In the next moment, a huge stone rolled down. Several Silver Elder Rangers hurriedly raised their weapons and cut the stone into pieces. However, one of the Silver Elder Rangers was not strong enough. He did not manage to cut the stone into pieces. Instead, he was knocked to the ground by the stone. In the blink of an eye, he was smashed into a pile of meat paste. That was none other than Wang Tianfu. Lin Muyu sighed. Wang Tianfu stole her 1,100 years silver fox in exchange for the position of a Silver Elder Ranger. Unfortunately, his strength did not match. In the end, he still died. Let's go. It's our turn. Luo Yu patted Lin Muyu's shoulder. Several Jinzun Rangers immediately dismounted and carried their weapons towards the east. Chapter 151. The cliffs on the east side of the North Mountain were filled with pine trees. These pine trees were covered with sharp thorns that ordinary people would not be able to grasp with their bare hands. This also made the cliffs unclimbable, so the Tianjing mercenary group naturally would not send troops to guard this area. Swoosh, swoosh. Lin Muyu opened her palm and her 5 fingers were enshrouded with a faint aura, directly smoothing out the sharp thorns on the pine trees. With a so sound, she leapt several meters up the mountain wall. She raised her hand and stabbed the prairie-burning sword into the rocks, borrowing the force to leap several meters up. She opened her hand and grabbed onto the roots of another pine tree, quickly smoothing out the thorns with her aura. In an instant, the faint scent of pine tree sap filled the air. He lowered his head and looked down. The cliffs were about 200 meters in total. Luo Yu, Long Yen, and Fang Exen followed at a slightly slower speed. Among them, Fang Exen, who had the lowest cultivation, was the slowest. He was only at the second level of the Earth realm at level 41, but as a Jin Zun Ranger, he had no choice but to carry out this mission. He wore steel gloves, but the pine needles still pierced him until he was dripping with blood. After waiting for a while, Lin Muyu leapt up once again. Her entire body was as agile as an old ape, and after a few leaps, she had already reached the mountainside. After waiting for another 5 minutes, Luo Yu, Long Yen, and Fang Xian finally reached the top of the mountain. The four of them hid in the underbrush. From afar, they could see that there were at least 500 Tianjing mercenary group soldiers moving about on the stone fort. Luo Yu muttered to herself and said, "Lin Yen, Long Yen, the two of you charge up the fort and attract their attention. Fang Exen and I will quietly sneak in and open the stone door." Lin Muyu nodded, "Okay." With a dang sound, she pulled out the prairie fire sword and rushed forward with Long Yen. Lin Muyu silently used the falling star steps and ran as if she was flying. Long Yen could not keep up and hurriedly said, "Sir Lin Yen, slow down." Lin Muyu didn't slow down. Instead, she sped up and leaped onto the walls of the stone fortress. She swung her sword at a few mercenaries who were moving boulders, killing them all amid screams. Her actions quickly attracted the attention of many people. One of the mercenary leaders, who was a centurion, shouted, "There's a ranger sneaking up the mountain. Damn it, kill him." A large group of people rushed over, but Lin Muyu secretly laughed. These mercenaries were too weak. She quickly turned around, and the life star constellation circled around her left fist. The blood-colored cyclone rotated crazily, and she suddenly punched downwards. Bang! Cracks actually appeared on the thick tongue-shaped ground. The power of the one bright life star constellation surged out with a shockwave, causing a group of mercenaries to fall back. At this time, two figures quickly rushed into the city. It was Luo Yu and Fang Exen. "I'll go and open the door. You block it." Luo Yu went straight for the stone door. Fang Exen quickly turned around and swung his sword, killing 5 people in a row. However, the mercenaries in the city also raised their bows and arrows fell like rain. At first, Fang Exen could still rely on his sword to block, but the arrows were too concentrated. Poo pew pew sounds rang out as the arrows continuously pierced through his chest armor, arms, and legs. In the blink of an eye, his entire body was dyed red with blood. With a muffled groan, Fang Exen knelt on the ground. A group of mercenaries surrounded him, and spears continuously pierced through his body. Blood and flesh splattered everywhere. Within a few seconds, Fang Exen, the Jin Zun Ranger, was minced into minced meat. Even his limbs and face were no longer recognizable. All that was left was a pile of minced meat and broken armor. Lin Muyu couldn't bear to see this. With a wave of the sword in her hand, another wave of sword chi forced a group of mercenaries to retreat. Whoosh whoosh. Below, the archers started shooting randomly at Fang Exen. However, Lin Muyu wasn't Fang Exen. With a low shout, the gourd wall condensed around her body, and the black tortoise shell plus dragon scale wall blocked all the arrows. Long Yen, who was watching from afar, was dumbfounded. He was the first person in the House of Chivalry to see Lin Muyu's green gourd martial spirit. Moreover, Long Yen had seen a 10th grade green gourd martial spirit before. It was the kind of weak martial spirit that could be defeated in one hit. The gourd condensed by Lin Muyu was practically indestructible. Boom! The stone door suddenly collapsed. Luo Yu had succeeded. Kill your way in. Outside the stronghold, the rangers swarmed in. After entering, they killed anyone they saw. Each of their eyes were bloodshot, and they didn't care about the captives. In the blink of an eye, the stone stronghold had fallen. Inside and outside, there were corpses everywhere. The Tianjing mercenary group was defeated like a collapsing mountain. The only barrier on the mountainside was easily lost. The Tianjing mercenary group is finished. Long Yan's face was filled with excitement. In his hand was a head. It was the head of a mercenary centurion. He was probably going to take it to ask for a reward. Lin Muyu lightly jumped down. Her gaze landed on the pile of flesh on the ground. She said, "Lord Feng Xen is dead." The corner of Long Yan's mouth raised. "It's good that he's dead. He doesn't have to endure so much pain and choices in the world." Lin Muyu glanced at him. "Then why didn't you die?" Long Yan laughed. "I have a long life. I can't bear to give up so many beautiful things in the world." Luo Yu's expression was stern. "Gather the troops and prepare to attack the headquarters of the Tianjing mercenary group. We must find the location of the flowing gold palace." A group of silver, bronze, and iron rangers raised their swords and roared as they charged up the mountain. Their eyes were not filled with the desire to fight the strong and help the weak. Instead, they were filled with a crazed desire. Lin Muyu used the falling star steps and walked beside Luo Yu. She asked, "What kind of place is the flowing gold palace?" Luo Yu said indifferently, "It is said that the master of the Tianjing mercenary group, Jiang Fenglai, who has the title of Frenzied Blade, has been entrenched in the northern mountain for many years. He has plundered the citizens and the government offices of small cities. He has hoarded a large amount of gold, silver, and jewels in the northern mountain. He has also built a storage place for these treasures. It is called the Flowing Gold Palace. Before I left, the great envoy specifically told me to bring the Flowing Gold Palace back to the headquarters after taking down the northern mountain." Lin Muyu couldn't help but smile. "We are attacking the Tianjing mercenary group for the gold, right?" Luo Yu smiled helplessly. "What else?" Suddenly, there was a sound of fighting in front of them. When they were close to the top of the mountain, they encountered another counterattack from the mercenary group. About 200 heavy armored mercenaries rode down from the mountain, each of them holding a heavy spear in their hands. Judging from their aura, they were almost all experts in the human realm. The heavy cavalry charged forward in a phalanx formation, piercing their spears into the bodies of the venerables and unaffiliated warriors who were dressed in plain clothes, killing them like skewers of candied haws. As the warhorses trampled on them, many unaffiliated warriors were trampled to death. Lin Muyu watched from the side. He was indifferent. He didn't plan to make a move. This was an unjust battle. He didn't have a side at all. However, Long Yan and Luo Yu still charged forward with their weapons. They roared and used their cultivation to suppress the heavy armored cavalry. A group of silver venerable and bronze venerable rangers also pounced forward. They used ingenious sword and saber techniques to destroy the heavy armored cavalry's defense. Swords pierced their throats and sabers slashed their necks. After losing a portion of their forces, the 200 heavy armored cavalry were all turned into corpses on the mountain peak. Further ahead, a military camp stood in front of them. There were 2 large words written on it: Tianjing Mercenary Group. Unfortunately, the Tianjing mercenary group's 5,000-plus troops had already been wiped out. How could they resist the attack of the House of Chivalry? After the archers on the watchtowers were shot dead, the entire camp was lost. A large number of rangers charged into the camp. Luo Yu carried her long sword and ran. She shouted, "Archers, follow me. We are looking for Jiang Fenglai. If he's alive, we want to see him. If he's dead, we want to see his corpse. The Golden Palace is in the north. Follow me." Long Yan laughed loudly. He led a dozen bronze venerable rangers and rushed over. Lin Muyu was at the back of the group, riding his horse. His face was gloomy. This battle was extremely boring to him. "Oh no, Lord Long Yan has been killed." Not long after, a shocking voice rang out. Long Yan had died in battle? Lin Muyu hurriedly got up and mounted her horse. She raised her burning prairie sword and shouted, "Where is Long Yan? Lead the way." Luo Yu raised her long sword and said hatefully, "It must be Jiang Fenglai. He's hiding in the Golden Palace. Damn it, why didn't I think of him?" A few minutes later, they arrived at the Golden Palace. In fact, The Golden Palace was just a cellar made of white walls and black tiles. The real treasures were all in the cellar. At this time, a group of rangers were surrounding a person and fighting. The person in the center was wearing black armor and holding two swords. He moved like the wind, and the arcs of the blades were very beautiful. In the blink of an eye, several venerable realm rangers died under his blade. Lin Muyu looked from afar. Long Yan's corpse was lying in front of the Golden Palace's gate. Half of his shoulder had been chopped off. Long Yan's death did not make Lin Muyu happy or sad. Long Yan had fought for Jining coins and a woman. His death was not to be regretted. However, Long Yan, a level 45 Earth Realm Second Sky, was killed so quickly. This Jiang Fenglai was indeed not ordinary. Come on, I'm going to kill all of you. Jiang Fenglai spun his sword and cut off the head of a bronze venerable ranger. His face was full of rage as he laughed loudly. You despicable rangers, I will kill you all. After I kill you all, I will kill your families and rape your wives and daughters. I will make them wish they were dead. Come, let me kill you all. He had already gone crazy. His body was covered in blood and his sword was covered in battle energy. He was a Sky Realm First Sky powerhouse. Unfortunately, although he was strong, how many people could he kill? Moreover, everyone had a limited amount of battle energy. Every slash was a form of consumption. Jiang Fenglai killed nearly 50 rangers in the blink of an eye. However, his face was getting paler and paler. The battle energy on his sword was much weaker than before. Luo Yu did not dare to step forward because of the difference in strength. She only lowered her voice and said, Master Lin Yan, if you want to make a contribution, this is a great opportunity. Lin Muyu understood. Since she was a spy, if she did not show some sincerity, how could Jiang trust her? Thinking of this, the battle energy in her body increased rapidly. She leaped from the horse and punched with her left fist. Celestial bodies of all living beings circled around her fist. Huh! Jiang Fenglai suddenly turned around and saw a handsome ranger's fist coming at him. He did not have time to dodge and hurriedly used the two swords in front of his chest to block. Pang! 3 luminaries calamity. The two swords quickly collapsed, but the fist still landed firmly on Jiang Fenglai's chest. Accompanied by the sound of bones breaking, Lin Muyu's right hand rushed forward like lightning. The burning prairie sword pierced through Jiang Fenglai's heart. He was just a trophy. The greatest mercy to him was to grant him a clean death. Chapter 152. Jiang Fenglai tightly held onto the blade of the burning prairie sword. Blood flowed down from his chest along the blade, but it quickly evaporated on the burning prairie sword. He raised his head and looked at Lin Muyu unwillingly. With a trembling voice, he said, What kind of power is this, to be able to break my wind blade so easily? Lin Muyu didn't say anything. She flipped the blade lightly, and Jiang Fenglai immediately lost consciousness and fell to the ground. Bang! Jiang Fenglai's body fell to the ground, stirring up a cloud of dust. His death meant that the Tianjing mercenary group had disappeared from the world. Jiang Fenglai is dead. Why don't you surrender now? Luo Yu rode her horse and galloped across the square, shouting loudly. Immediately, the mercenaries put down their weapons one by one, giving up their last resistance. However, the House of Chivalry's imperial capital headquarters could not be considered a complete victory. 2 golden venerable rangers had died in battle, and many silver and bronze venerable ones had also died. Creak! The gold-plated cellar door opened. Luo Yu held onto the door and looked at the group behind him. He smiled. Master Lin Yan, aren't you coming with me to see the treasures that Jiang Fenglai collected in his lifetime? Sure. Lin Muyu followed Luo Yu into the cellar. A lone warrior walked in front with a torch. The cellar was very deep, and there was a moldy smell. However, when the lone warrior opened the second door with the key found on Jiang Fenglai's body, he saw a bright golden light. The cellar of the Golden Palace wasn't big. It was about 50 square meters, but it was filled with gold coins. Under the light of the torch, the gold coins shone with an alluring luster. Luo Yu was slightly taken aback. He walked forward and fished through the boxes filled with gold coins. Then gold coins fell out one by one. He muttered, "Each box has at least 1,000 gold hub coins. This Jiang Fenglai has been working hard for so many years. There are at least 100 boxes of gold hub coins here." Lin Muyu snickered. Actually, 100 boxes of Jin-in coins were only 100,000 Jin-in coins, and she had 380,000 Jin-in coins in her Cosmos sack. When it came to wealth, she was still the wealthier one. "Sir Game Envoy, look over here." The loose knight was holding a gold-plated iron box. The lid of the box had already been opened, and inside the box was a pile of diamond coins, sparkling and resplendent. "It's actually diamond coins." Luo Yu's heart skipped a beat. Lin Muyu frowned and said, "There are at least 200 diamond coins. It seems that Jiang Fenglai has indeed plundered a lot of good things." Luo Yu nodded and ordered, "Seal these diamond coins and prepare to hand them over to the main altar." The corners of Lin Muyu's mouth curled up, revealing a sinister smile. "Luo Yu, are you really planning to hand over these diamond coins to the headquarters?" "I'm afraid this will only make Jiyang more aggressive, won't it?" Luo Yu was stunned. "Lin Yan, what do you mean?" "We'll stay." Lin Muyu looked at the unaffiliated warrior. She had already made up her mind to kill him. She definitely couldn't let him leak out the situation here. Luo Yu waved her hand and said, "Don't worry, he's my confidant. There won't be any problems." "Sir Lin Yan, are we really going to keep these diamond coins for ourselves?" Lin Muyu's gaze was resolute. "If we give this money to Ji Yang, it will only make him more aggressive in his recruitment. The Hall of Chivalry will become stronger and stronger, and it will be a nightmare for the common people. I think you've seen how the Hall of Chivalry treats the common people." Luo Yu clenched her teeth and said, "All right, then let's split these diamond coins in half. You and I will each take half. How about that?" "All right." Hence, they quickly divided the loot. There was a total of 228 diamond coins, and Lin Muyu and Luo Yu took half each. Luo Yu used a cloth bag to wrap the diamond coins tightly and kept them in his arms, while Lin Muyu threw the 114 diamond coins directly into his Cosmos sack and easily stuffed the bag into his arms. Luo Yu did not even know where he had hidden the money. "Sir, there's a pile of weapons here." The unaffiliated warrior shouted again. Under the light of the torches, there was a pile of weapons at the back of the box filled with Jining coins. They glowed with different colors, and some of the weapons had beast souls roaring. Lin Muyu was an expert. She walked up and picked up a sword. She weighed it in her hand and said, "It's around rank 3 spirit grade, not bad. And that spear is rank 4 profound grade. It's a weapon that's been refined. It's the best weapon in this pile." Luo Yu smiled as if she had found a treasure. "Even the worst of these weapons are superior grade weapons." "Pa, that idiot Jiang Fenglai. He had such good weapons but he didn't use them. No wonder the Tianjin mercenary group was easily taken down by us." Lin Muyu said lightly, "Maybe he just saw these weapons as wealth, not weapons to kill." What should we do with these weapons?" "Hand them over to the headquarters. They're not that good anyway." Luo Yu was still hesitant. He didn't know that Lin Muyu was a blacksmith master. She didn't like the weapons here at all. On the contrary, he was reluctant to part with them. But there was nothing he could do. These weapons were not like diamond coins. It was too easy to find them. If Ji Yang found out that he kept them for himself, the consequences would be unimaginable. Not long after, a large group of rangers entered the cellar and moved all the Jining coins and weapons up. Lin Muyu and Luo Yu returned to the surface and watched quietly. Although many people had died, the people of the House of Chivalry still seemed to be overjoyed. It was as if the deaths of those who fought with them didn't matter at all. After dusk, 200 people were left to guard the North Mountain. The other 1,000 people escorted the captives and the spoils of war back to the headquarters. Torches flickered in the night sky. Even Jiang Fenglia's body was put on the carriage and dragged back. The leader of the Tianjin mercenary group had become a kind of spoils of war. He had dominated for a lifetime, but he ended up like this. Dang, dang, dang. the sound of gongs and drums could be heard from the top of the mountain of the House of Chivalry's headquarters. Many people had already arrived at the foot of the mountain. When they saw the carts of Jinin coins, almost everyone's eyes lit up. The carriages went up the mountain. The empty space outside the headquarters was filled with people. Suddenly, the crowd moved and made a path. Ji Yang and Li Qinshuan walked over. Ji Yang laughed and said, "Luo Yu, Ambassador Yu Yi, Lin Yan, and Jin Zun really didn't let us down. It seems that you've brought back Jiang Fenglia's head, right?" Luo Yu cupped his fists and said, "It was Lord Lin Yan who defeated Jiang Fenglai, but Lord Long Yan Jin Zun was killed by Jiang Fenglai. Lord Fang Exen, Jin Zun, also died in the chaotic battle. Other than that, we also lost 3 silver venerables, 11 bronze venerables, 34 iron venerables, 55 venerables, and more than 300 lone warriors. This battle was a heavy loss." Long Yan and Fang Exen both died in battle? Ji Yang showed a trace of displeasure. After a few seconds of silence, he said, "The mercenaries on the North Mountain plundered everywhere and committed all kinds of crimes. We eliminated the Tianjin mercenary group for the sake of the people. Long Yan and Fang Exan, the 2 Jin Zun's deaths were not in vain. Tomorrow morning, we will hold a grand funeral for them." "Yes, Ambassador Yu Yi. Also, how many things did you bring back?" Ji Yang's eyes lit up. "What kind of treasures are hidden in the flowing gold palace?" Luo Yu pointed behind her and said, "We've already brought back all the treasures from the flowing gold palace. Ambassador Yu Yi, please count them one by one." Good. Ji Yang said "good" twice when he saw the carts full of Jinin coins. When he saw the carts full of fine weapons, he laughed and said, "Our House of Chivalry was just worrying about not having fine weapons for the silver and bronze venerables. Now we have them." Li Qinshuan cupped her fists and laughed. "Congratulations, Ambassador Yu. With Jiang Fenglia's death, your greatest worry has been removed. From now on, no one around the Dragon Forest will dare to make the House of Chivalry an enemy." Ji Yang was overjoyed. He looked at Lin Muyu and said, "Brother Lin Yan, you've helped the House of Chivalry eliminate Jiang Fenglai. This is a great merit. I will send a letter to the Lingnan headquarters to discuss your promotion to Ambassador Yu. Also, Brother Lin Yan's expenses will be raised to the level of Ambassador Yu." Luo Yu, Li Qinshuan, and the others cupped their fists and congratulated him. Lin Muyu smiled and responded to them one by one. After that, a group of rogue warriors set up a bonfire and slaughtered a dozen sheep to roast. Ji Yang ordered the carts of Jin coins to be pushed into the headquarter hall. As Ambassador Yu Yi, Luo Yu, and Lin Muyu were naturally called in as well. The commotion outside did not affect the peace inside the headquarter hall. Ji Yang held onto the armrest of his chair, his eyes gleaming. "I heard that recently, the Capital Chamber of Commerce has been selling quite a few decent weapons. Moreover, Lord Lin Yan was recommended by Miss Jean Xiaotang to the House of Chivalry. Looks like it's time for us to buy another batch of weapons and warhorses from the Capital Chamber of Commerce." Luo Yu mumbled, "Ambassador Yu Yi wants to expand the army?" Ji Yang nodded. "That's right. Although the House of Chivalry is located in the dragon-seeking forest, far away from the Emperor and no one can control us, I've heard rumors that the Imperial Guard Commander Feng Jixing has been eyeing the House of Chivalry for a long time. Once he leads 10,000 Imperial Guards to attack us, I'm afraid the House of Chivalry will disappear from the Imperial capital." As he spoke, Ji Yang slammed his fist on the table. "We need to replenish our rations, warhorses, and weapons as soon as possible. Otherwise, we won't be able to fight against the Imperial Guards." Lin Muyu was stunned when she heard that. It was true. The House of Chivalry was indeed planning to become the Empire's enemy. However, with just this amount of military strength, it seemed to be far from enough. Feng Jixing's Imperial army could easily flatten this mountain with just 10,000 men. She did not think too much about it and returned to her room after the meeting. However, just as Lin Muyu returned to the courtyard, she heard the screams and curses of young girls coming from inside. The strong smell of alcohol filled her nose. No, something had happened. He quickly kicked open the door, only to see that the two scattered warriors guarding the door had already been knocked unconscious. The light in the room was dim, and a ranger with a golden glow on his shoulder was pressing Hongyu down on the bed. However, he did not succeed. Hongyu used all her strength to kick with her legs, causing the Golden Exalt Ranger to be extremely angry. He raised his hand and slapped Hongyu, shouting angrily, "If Ling Yan doesn't want you, then let me have you. What's wrong with that?" You're tuning in to the Wang Lin's Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.